Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey! I hope everybody had a good sports weekend.
Yes, sir.
Non-NFL sports weekends are so different. I plan a lot of my weekends during NFL season around games. Well, in non-NFL sports weekends, I live my life.
Yeah.
I plan what I'm going to do, and I watch accordingly.
Well, Jay, you're like me, where football and baseball are your two favorite sports.
Big.
So the time, and now I'm really into college basketball right now because I'm into St. John's. It's the first time they've been good in a long time.
Big win for them, by the way.
And they had a great win yesterday.
Yeah.
But generally, the time between the end of the Super Bowl until regular season baseball starts, those weekends are tough.
It's tough. It's boring.
Because like the NBA's kind of, there was the Cavs had a couple of fun games to watch, but it's not as exciting as baseball.
Not as good. I mean, from a sports weekend standpoint. Now, on the flip side of that, you really get to live your life again.
Sure.
The bad thing is it's 12 degrees out, although today it's 45, so it feels great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be nice if during this boring part of the year it was summertime. So we could actually go out and enjoy the warm weather.
Would be.
You got to catch up on your stuff. You got to have some shows you missed. I watch a lot of cooking stuff, I watch a bunch of cooking stuff during
what's
this
a
time.
typical cooking show you'll watch? Baking or cooking?
Beat Bobby Flay's
Sweet Genius is good if you want to do baking.
Yeah.
I like that. But I've watched all the chops, all the junior chops and the older chops.
Wow.
What's the name?
Do you like to cook?
I've gotten into it a little more as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
My uncle gifted me one of the best smokers of all time, so he got me one of those. So I like to watch. I like to watch barbecue. I like to watch mass chain, like people who create a lot of food at once. So I watch a lot of stuff where
like party planners,
cooks
maybe.
For the military.
Okay.
So I was watching the other day, cooks for the military.
Now that takes a team, right?
Yeah, like they have guys up in a submarine, like cooking 5-course meals with fresh vegetables, and I'm like,
That's
what?
Funny, yeah.
What are you doing?
I typically am not interested in that. I don't cook, but a couple of years ago we were on a cruise, and they offered as one of the days you're at port or at sea, and there's no port activity. They offered for, I don't know, $25, $30, whatever the cost was. You got a behind-the-scenes look at the culinary, the kitchen of the ship. And my wife really wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, what the hell? I mean, we're at sea.
Right.
I can work out only so much. I can eat only so much, so let's do it. I went, and it was like the military prep.
Yeah.
You're feeding 5,000 people.
Right, yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
There are scheduled meals, but the restaurant operation
Buffet,
is open
right?
24/7. And it was fascinating.
Crazy.
I was like, oh my God. And it was layers of the ship.
Yeah.
The kitchen was massive. The staff was massive. It was really kind of an eye-opening thing. I never thought about it. I just eat. I don't think about how it gets done.
Yeah,
it was wild.
I like to see the insides and outsides.
It was crazy. All right, Mikey, how was your weekend?
It was good.
Took in a couple of Cavs games, right?
I was at both Cavs games, two awesome wins in very different fashions. And we're going to talk about each of those throughout today's show. We won our men's league game yesterday by 50. So
wow.
That was
like
nice. Yeah, it was.
What kind of league is this?
Who'd you
win
play?
by
Junior
50?
high team?
We actually lost 2 in a row, and then we came back and finally made some shots. We had missed a bunch of shots.
So you pulled it together.
You played
Yeah,
the worst
we,
team in the league?
No.
Did you have a players-only meeting? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
We actually, this is going to sound bush league, but we played zone for a sec. And they completely had no idea.
Oh, my
They
God.
started fighting with each other. They called
Is
timeout.
that fair pool playing zone in like a men's league game?
Listen.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty good men's league. I
know
the
the
team
coach.
played
If it's a
yesterday.
higher level men's league, I would say okay. But if it's like just regular pickup hoop and you start coming out in a zone,
Yeah, pickup. No.
elbows are
You
going
can't
to
do
fly.
that pickup. Men's league. We just sprinkled it in for a sec yesterday.
Okay.
Is
And
your coach on the hot seat? Was he on the hot seat before this game?
Jackson, who's probably watching right now. Shout out Jackson. No, we're 9-3. So like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
we're
first
doing
place?
good. No, we lost. We're in third place because the two teams we lost to the 2 weeks before are first and second.
Ooh.
But they were both close. We couldn't make a shot. Feel good, but we got a get back game yesterday. Won by 50. Felt
Before
like the
you go-
Cavs. feel like the Cavs against the Knicks where.
Hold on, I think Bull
6
has
minutes
something.
into the
real
game.
quick.
Yeah, because this reminded me. I forgot about this. I'm glad you brought up your basketball because I ran into somebody that would probably help your team yesterday.
Ooh.
I run into him all the time. I didn't talk with him because I
Big
let
Z?
you know. Well, I saw Big Z again yesterday.
Wow.
Now, have you seen him more than
I've seen him like 4 or 5
Now
times.
that would be dirty pool. You roll out with
Like
Big Z in your men's league. No.
Yeah, that's you.
No. That's
That'd
not
be
going to
fun.
happen.
You
He
got to
wants to play.
recruit Big
Big Z will
Z.
take you.
I mean, it's so funny because I walk into the store. I won't even say where it is because I don't want. He's in there a lot, and I don't want to like get people going looking for him there. But,
Right.
But I walk in. It's like it can't be conspicuous when you.
You can't hide. You can't hide.
You know.
It ain't like you can be like, hey, Z. No, that's not me.
Yeah.
That would be the worst physical attribute to have if you were trying to low key it and hide fade.
Right. You can't.
Like you
There's
can't
nothing you
hide
do.
7 foot. You
No.
can't. There's
But
nothing
like,
you can do.
I don't
about
know.
it.
He looks like he can still play a little bit. So
There you go, Mike.
Maybe give him a call.
Our big man's only 6'7" and 6'8", so we can take a 7'3" guy for sure. But we got a lot to dive into today, and I want to spend a ton of time on the Cavs. We did have a little bit of breaking news from the Browns this morning. We'll get to that after a quick word from FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action, and if you're looking for bigger payouts, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Nice.
We will get to the NBA in a second, but this morning, the Browns made what we all assumed was coming official by releasing Juan Thornhill. They will make him a post-June 1st cut, saving them about $3.4 million in cap space. We were all excited when the Browns signed Juan Thornhill 2 seasons ago, but it has been a disappointing tenure here in Cleveland. Bull, in your opinion, what went wrong for Juan Thornhill here in Cleveland?
Well, what's gone wrong for him is what's gone wrong for a lot of other free agents. The Browns have overpaid guys who weren't worthy. You don't win. You don't become a winner because of free agency. You build a team and then you supplement with free agency to get the final touches. And the Browns have relied too much on free agency. And the reason this move was important to me when we were discussing whether to talk about it is because it's just another example, in my opinion, of the very poor job that Andrew Berry has done as the general manager of the Browns. We've talked about his poor drafting quite a bit. Well, the reality is that outside of a couple of good moves here and there, obviously the Jerry Jeudy trade looks good, the Amari Cooper trade at the time looked good, a lot of the free agent moves he's made have been terrible. They wasted money on back-to-back safeties over 4 years. We know about look at the list of the free agent moves. They've brought in all the defensive linemen they've brought in have been either underwhelming or just a total disaster. And the list goes on and on. So we are hoping that Andrew Berry, now with 5 years of experience, will finally get it right. He's got his highest draft pick ever. That this season he'll finally start to turn around the ship in terms of his ability to add talent. And it's another example of, guy who came in with a lot of hype. We convinced ourselves he was going to be a good player. He talked a lot.
He did talk a lot.
When he first came in here, he went after me for something I said. I don't even remember what it was. And as with many free agents that come here to the Browns, he didn't back it up. And you know what the thing is, guys? We are critical of the fans sometimes, and we talk about the divided fans. The truth is, though, as much as any market in America, if you play hard and you play well, even if the team sucks, if you play hard and you play well, Browns fans will have your back.
Joe Thomas.
As much as any.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be that level. Obviously, those guys.
Yeah.
But even if you're just a mid-tier guy, but you're playing to the best of your ability and you're giving full effort, fans will love you and support you. But when you come in and you talk a big game and you can't back it up, you're useless.
Your tangent there on, I didn't see that coming, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went that way. The Thornhill move to me, blah.
Yeah.
About time. Terrible. One of the
Yeah.
worst free agent signings we've had, and we've had some bad ones. If you look at his measurable impact stats, he didn't even
0.
play here.
Yeah.
He was a ghost.
Yeah.
And he stole money. But I didn't see you taking it to Andrew Berry, but I'm really glad you did because I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Think about what you said. You said in there talking about Andrew Berry, let's hope that in year 5 he finally gets it right.
Yeah.
Where are we? Where are we that you get 5 years to try to get it right?
Yeah.
Look at the safeties he brought in here. Throw in Greedy Williams.
Right.
Okay, so well documented is his inability to assess talent at wide receiver.
Yes.
Now look at safety. Look at the defensive linemen he's brought. They're all the same guy, the defensive linemen he's brought in here.
They're just guys.
They're just guys.
Yeah.
And what's amazing to me is they did get one of them right. He's gone now.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is the latitude this guy gets. What are we doing? Year 5. What other franchise in the NFL can say, well, let's hope in the 5th year he gets it right?
Well, it's actually 6. I said
It
5.
is 6.
It's going to be a 6th
this
draft.
Will be
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Like, what other franchise are we okay with saying, well, it's year 6. It's time to produce.
I know, and maybe, the Browns have never really done that before, so maybe this time it'll pay off that they've actually been patient, but it's hard to be confident.
Here's what the irony of that is.
Yeah.
Maybe when they pulled the trigger too fast on some of the other guys, they would have figured it out.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe this time, this guy just won't.
Yeah.
6th draft.
Yeah.
6th. Now, he could end up with a lot of capital in this draft.
Right.
He has his first-round draft pick back. It's the number 2 overall. He's got a chess piece that he can turn in for other draft picks if he chooses. Let's see what happens. But the fact that we're saying, well, it's year 6, it's time to get this right, that
That's
speaks
not a good
to
sign.
the culture of the Cleveland
Yeah.
Browns more than anything
That's
we
true.
talked about.
You know what? I think I got my name, the Duke and knee jerk, from talking about Andrew Berry and some of the moves they made. I stood on a mountaintop and said, listen, you guys don't even get defensive tackles or you don't got linebackers. I came up with the coined the phrase gentleman's punt on the whole season because you didn't get anybody. And people could, they laughed and said, come on, G. Bush, you're hyperbolic. You're going to die. Come on. Everybody fills their rosters with guys like this. It's not even that bad. And for me to sit here and hear you two guys go off on them, it just tickles my heart. It warms me. I didn't even have to say nothing. I was just like, wow, man,
We're getting so big, aren't we?
Yeah, you guys
We're finally growing up.
There it is, man. And I didn't even have to coerce you guys in this saying that. It was evident. Look, Andrew Berry has been a Minimowski. He's been Minimowski.
You're being nice.
Listen, I'm trying to bring the temperature down in the room. Look, hey, the man has not done a good job bringing in free agents. He has not done a good job of assessing talent and drafting people well. And if you go back and look at it, he continues to get these guys that keep fleecing the organization.
Yep.
Always beware of another person coming from another organization.
A winning organization.
With the culture to infuse it.
When a winner gives up on you, I'd be very cautious.
Those are those fake gurus and snake oil salesmen. If you was that great, Juan Thornhill, why do they have a bunch of 1-2 year guys playing in your place going to the Super Bowl every year?
Yep.
John Johnson III, if you were that great, my man, they would have backed up the Brinks trucks and gave you that bag of money. Heck, Zadarius Smith was running around here happy. I'm like, bro, the only thing keeping you afloat is these PFF scores. And Jay don't even agree with them. Don't even believe in that.
They're dead to me.
And G, to your point, in Thornhill's case, he's tweeting out or Instagram, I don't remember where it was, like, I should be in the Super Bowl. No, the best team in football, the best franchise, the Kansas City Chiefs over the last bunch of years, decided you were not worth it.
Yeah.
I should be there.
Yeah.
And they had the nerve to be going back and forth with fans talking about, well, you know what I mean. You guys are jerks. Listen, Juan Thornhill, look, if you split them stats up, that's 50 tackles a year. You could fall and trip over 50 tackles. As a matter of fact, 25 of them is you guys looking in the secondary trying to figure out who's covering somebody wide open. How many times did you see that? No forced fumbles. So that means you weren't coming up in no run support, no interceptions, and that means you only got your hand on 4 footballs? That's wild to me.
He was a ghost.
And you had the nerve to change your number to number 1. Why would you even do that?
And he only played in 2/3 of the games. He
I
wasn't
think he
reliable.
did that to go into the witness protection program so fans would think, oh, this is another bum.
If
This isn't the bum we saw last year.
If you're going to be a drug dealer, don't have a Audi 5000 with tinted rims and rims that look like Ferris wheels, and be surprised when Rin Tin Tin K9 Cop is at your front door. He's like, oh, yeah, we already know. Rin Tin, calm down. He has all kind of drugs.
He's been wearing that for years.
You didn't even put that in the glove. It's in the glove compartment. You didn't put it in the panels or nothing. This guy.
Rookie.
Change your number to 1. like, you know how good you gotta be to have number 1.
You know why he went with number 1? They wouldn't let him wear a target.
They was just like, there he is right there.
What is the target?
Hey, listen, it's hey, listen, it got to be the season. Now, get ready to try to find, and by the way, some of these other backups that you're going to try to plug in, no. If the backups were that good, they would have took a spot last year. So I don't even know if those backups are good. Hey, we still got so-and-so that can step up. No.
He couldn't get on the field last year with Thornhill in his place.
Nah, see, Andrew Barry, another one.
Well, it's year 6. Can you imagine 4 years from now we're saying, look, this is it. This is the 10th year now.
Yeah.
You can't prove in a decade that you can get one draft right.
10 years.
Year 11.
Where are we?
It's a baker's dozen. You've gotten it wrong 12 times before.
That's crazy.
I will leave the ship long before that happens. I promise you that.
By the way, you know what we need to do? We've talked about it a lot, but really drill down, Mike. I think at some point in the next couple of weeks, certainly before free agency and definitely before the draft, we need to do like a top 10 list of Andrew Berry acquisitions.
Or a bottom
and
10.
A bottom 10 list.
Yeah.
The 10
top
best
10 would be hard to fill.
Yes. The 10, like who are these guys? Who's the 10th best player he's acquired? And then the 10 worst acquisitions.
That would be a fun exercise.
We could do that.
Yeah.
It would stretch our limits. I don't know that I could come up with 10.
I definitely could find 10 on the bad side.
Well, I
Easily.
will say, Barry may not be perfect, but we also did, in the summer of 23, heading into the 23 season, we did our best free agency bracket, if you guys remember. And we had Dalvin Tomlinson as the best free agent signing in the entire NFL. We had
Just goes to show you how tainted
and we had Agbo in the Final 4.
Oh, my God.
Jeez.
We are also hand up. We are not perfect.
And to be fair, Tomlinson's a defensive tackle. He hasn't been terrible. He's been okay.
Serviceable.
He's fine.
Bull, they want us to go draft the defensive tackle second overall.
I know.
Hey, we know we done missed on this one, but boy, that defensive tackle run stopper is really gonna move the needle for us. Hey, draft a D tackle every year, GB.
All
Oh, man.
right, let's move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So the good news.
G. Bush is back, though, which means on Tuesday, the Ultimate Browns show is back, normal time, 5 o'clock. The barbershop was off Saturday because G was recovering. That's also back on Saturday. So, G, we're happy to have you back in the fold, and I'm sure you'll break down some more of what's going on at the Combine. We'll talk about it in a little bit on this show, but he'll have some more Thornhill, some more Combine stuff coming up tomorrow on the Ultimate Brown Show. But, guys, let's talk Cavaliers, because over the weekend, it was an incredible weekend for the 47-10 Cleveland Cavaliers. They beat the brakes off the Knicks on Friday, but we're going to start with last night's win over the Memphis Grizzlies. A ton of different places to start in this game. There was a little bit of a tussle between Donovan and Desmond Bane. We saw Evan Mobley put up 25, 13, and 8. We saw Jerome score 15 points in the fourth quarter and have his 5th league pass moment of the year. And we also saw, with Darius Garland out, Donovan Mitchell step up, take over the offense early, and score 31 points in the game. Bull, I want to start with you, and we'll go around the horn on this one. But the Cavs had their questions going in against the tougher, bigger, more physical teams. And last night, and we'll start with this part of it, they not only dominated the glass, they out-physicaled Memphis, and they frankly bullied a team that is used to being the bully. Did that aspect of the game mean anything to you in the big picture of how you want to evaluate this Cleveland Cavaliers squad?
Absolutely. By the way, the highlight was you doing your live post-game that I watched.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't watch it live, but I watched it this morning. And then you getting quiet for a second because it's like, oh, people walking by, I'm going to be quiet for a second. I thought that was funny. But, yes, this was huge, guys. I love, I know we're going to talk more big picture and bring the Knicks in the mix too, but the fact that they've played 2 of the 6 best teams in the league over this weekend, won both games, And those are two big teams. Both teams have a lot of big guys. The Knicks have a legitimate center, obviously. Memphis, the second best scoring team in the league behind the Cavs. They might have even been first before last. I don't know. They're within like 0.1 of each other. The fact that the Cavs as a whole rebounded so well, but specifically Evan Mobley playing lights-out basketball against the two big teams. And I'll tell you something. I was thinking about this. We were doing, I can't remember the name of the segment before the season, where you had to say which is more likely, and it would be like things that aren't likely.
Right.
And I remember
the
one
game's called "What's More Likely."
What's more likely?
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is.
And I remember one of them, if I remember correctly, Mike, was Evan Mobley getting a triple-double.
Yep.
Now, we all probably laughed at the idea of Evan Mobley getting a triple-double, and he obviously didn't yesterday, but he was pretty darn close.
Really close.
I mean, he's had 4 or more assists for a big man. 4 or more assists, and I believe 5 of their last 6 games or 4 of the last 5, something like that. So not only is he scoring at a great rate, even though he was 1 of 8 from 3 yesterday, not only is he killing it on the glass, playing great defense, but he's also becoming a very good passer, passing big man, and ball handling big man.
Yeah.
All the things that, and I credit Mike and Jason because they have been so high on this guy. When many of us were down, he was not showing real progress for 3 years. But the leap that this guy has taken, and we've gone from like, I don't know how good he is. I used to kind of laugh when Jason would say he's got to be the best player on the Cavs. I'm like, that's not going to happen. The guy looks like an absolute stud, and it feels like the sky's the limit, and he is leading the way along with Jared Allen and Tristan Thompson in terms of the toughness, but in terms of getting on the glass and being aggressive and being physical, Evan Mobley leads the way, and it's been so impressive and so fun to watch.
You know what I liked about it most is when you take a look at the flow of this game. For the most part, if you look at what Ja Morant was doing, which was nothing for the first three quarters of this game. I think he was 1 for something. He had like 11 or 12 points going into like the late third, early fourth quarter. And Ja Morant, for what it has been worth while he's been, on the court, he's been a guy that you could always count on being a closer and coming up with, they had just came back from a 22-point deficit, I think a couple days before that. But when you watch it, this team is locked in on a different level because before we would give them an excuse, Darius Garland's not there or so-and-so's not there. Nah, Donovan Mitchell is starting to understand what type of time it is. He came and was aggressive from the very first start of this game. He knew Darius wasn't there. And then Evan Mobley picked up his aggressiveness. Now, when you talk about Jaren Jackson and you talk about him probably being another Defensive Player of the Year award he's going to get, look at these moves he's giving it to him. He's catching the ball at the top of the key, weaving his way through traffic, Euro stepping and finishing over him. Not to mention, Zach Edey is 7'9" or something stupid, but they were out rebounding them, especially on offensive glass. There's that move. There's that Euro. Euro, finish. Like he doing that like it ain't nothing. And by the way, Ty Jerome, low key, he's the one who said, listen, Ty Jerome played in the fourth quarter like he was a starter.
Couldn't miss.
He could, some of it wasn't just no luck. He's going to the key. His floater was working. He hit down not big-time dagger threes, and he was grabbing. Look at that. If you get that from Ty Jerome, I'm sorry. The Knicks, the 76ers, some of these smaller teams, the Memphis Grizzlies, they are good teams. Don't get it twisted. But if Ty Jerome is going to give you that level of production and you don't have Darius Garland, it's a 2-team race.
We're going to talk about the hierarchy in the Eastern Conference. We're going to do Joel Bitonio next, and we're going to come back and talk about the Cavs' real threat being just Boston. And I don't want to give away our thoughts on that, but when you watch the last 2 games, and I know the Knicks were dinged Friday, but last night, what was impressive to me last night was I thought the Grizzlies played a pretty aggressive game.
Yeah. They played a good game.
They were not going away. How about the dunk with maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go by Donovan Mitchell? I thought that was going to be the exclamation point. Man, this Memphis team never blinked. They just kept coming and coming and coming. And that's the kind of game I want to see the Cavs That's kind of.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wow. We tried to let that one go.
I saw a bull bouncing up and down. I'm like, I can't even look at it.
I'm sorry, I tried to keep it in. I couldn't.
They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing this Memphis team. And I like those games when the Cavs are tested. I like the fact that they were playing shorthanded.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it wasn't a 12-point rollover. This was a game that, like so many in the playoffs, are going to be won in the final 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They made their free throws. They played defense. They got stops when they had to get stops. They played step for step with a team that really wanted this game last night. It was clear that this was important to them. I think Memphis has been on a bit of a skid for them, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Up and down.
Yeah,
it
seems like maybe the last week plus, maybe going back in before the All-Star break, it felt like they maybe were losing a little of their momentum.
Yeah.
And I think they probably went into this saying, okay, we got a chance tonight. Garland's out. Guys, let's get a big road win.
Yeah.
During the course of the last couple of minutes, they made a point on the broadcast to talk about how the Cavs have the best record in the NBA at home. And these are the records I care about. A lot of numbers are just numbers against winning teams. I think they're 15-3, something like that.
Yeah.
At home against teams with winning records. Now, unfortunately for the Cavs, one of those losses is to Boston. But that is an important number, and I really do believe that anything short of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance by the Cavs this year will be a major letdown. And that's where we are.
And it would have to, and they even in the Eastern Conference Finals, if they lost the hard-fought series to Boston, we're not killing them.
No, even though it appears they're going to have home court edge.
It would be a heartbreaker, but we're not killing them.
Right.
They can't but they can't get smoked by the Celtics, which I don't think they would.
No,
but, by the
especially
way,
with home court.
3 stretches this year. So the Cavs have had 2 short spots where they haven't played well for a few games.
Right.
The Cavs started the season 15-0, as we all know.
Right.
Then after a little slump, they went 16-1.
Wow.
Then they had a little slump again in January. Since then, 11-1. So they've had 3 stretches this year.
Is that 16-1? Does that overlap with any of those 15-0?
No.
So it's completely different.
Totally separate.
Okay, that's impressive.
I believe they went 15-0. Then they lost 3 of 5 or 3 of 6.
Yeah.
Then they went 16-1. Then they lost, I want to say 4 of 7 or 5 of 8. And since then, they've gone 11-1.
Wow.
So they've had 3 stretches this year, separate stretches, where they've gone a combined 42-2.
My God.
Yeah.
All their losses came in
those 2 little
separate weeks.
Yeah.
And I think they're still undefeated when they have a lead in the fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. It's either 41 or 42-0 now. I'm not sure if I saw the stat prior to the Knicks game or after the Knicks game, but 41 or 42-0 when leading after 3 quarters. We've talked about the clutch numbers. No team has been better than Cleveland in the clutch situations this year. We've talked about Darius Garland. They beat, by the way, the Western Conference's second-best team right now in terms of record. Without Darius Garland, who might be their second-best player, third-best player, best player on any given night. And I want to bring up the fight because we didn't mention that yet.
Right.
And I want to – you can take the video. Sean Donovan from upstairs at Channel 3 did an incredible job shooting highlights yesterday. We've talked about the Cavs and their perceived lack of physicality for a while. That Knicks series still gets hung over their head until they can eradicate it. But to see kind of over the last 3 weeks, the Tristan Thompson situation, the Jared Allen ejection against Detroit, the fight here that ended up getting broken up, but they're kind of putting some things out on tape now that would indicate this is not the same pushover group that we saw 2 years ago, even if the names on the roster page may look eerily similar.
Hey, man, anytime another man gets over top of you with the straddle game, you automatically got to fight.
That's an awkward position.
that you don't never
do that.
Right here, this is where all changed. It was like, okay, we cool, sideways.
Right there.
Right now. No. John, everybody gets it. But I'm going to tell you what, though. I like to see where Tristan Thompson was at. You see that we saying? Tristan Thompson, they're front row and ready. And Edie is about 7'9".
I mean, he's huge.
Look, he grabbed the man from the other side. He hit him with the Street Fighter Dawson. He was like, come here. But listen, I love the fact that this is on tape. I love the fact that they're not going to play around with you. And by the way, Memphis Grizzlies head coach is kind of stout. That man looks like he played a little lineman or something. He's kind of big. He was in the mix. I'm like, who is that?
He's a big dude.
Who's
big
that?
Dude.
What? This is wild. Let's see. But for me, I love to see that because we got kind of bullied a little bit. And Donovan Mitchell was in a press conference a couple days ago, and he was talking about, hey, listen, we had to go through some of that stuff. Yes, did we like losing to the Knicks? No. Do we see the Knicks every single time and say we got to make sure that we're out physical them? No. But this is what they're going to revert to. When you are a team that they cannot beat skill-wise, they can't outshoot you, they can't out-rebound you, they can't pass the ball like you, they're going to have to do that right there. If you're going to beat the Cavs, you're going to have to muddy the game up. You need to rough Donovan Mitchell up. You need to rough Darius Garland up, who, by the way, is a little fragile. He gets hit in the face 6 times a game. I don't understand how it is. He's a magnet for punches and elbows, but this is how they're going to play you. And right here, they showed that the whole fracas as it was happening, we not about to do that. We not about to go down that way. And I like to see that type of fight. And Tristan Thompson, hey, he said, I'm the enforcer. I was watching Canada versus the USA. That's the type of energy we need to see.
I liked it. Yeah, I think it sends a clear message to everyone. I'm just stunned. We always talk about the transformation that we've seen this year in Evan Mobley. But I think there's also been a team transformation. And I don't know if the coach, just changing coaches infuses this kind of energy. But I felt like in the past, they backed down from stuff like this. Last night, nobody was retreating. There were guys that were moving forward and meeting that energy. And that's what you have to do in the playoffs. And I like that you said that this is on tape. The league sees what's going on. This was for Boston as much as it was for Memphis. We're not going to take it. Don't think you're going to come in here and push us around because those days are over. I think Friday's the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
It's the biggest game of the year, and that's probably an obvious, Captain Obvious statement. But we get a chance to see what the move that the Cavs made before the deadline, what kind of impact that's going to have on a 7-game or whatever, best-of-7 series against the Celtics is going to have. I can't wait for Friday night. Can't get it fast enough.
I also think if they win Friday, that locks up the 1. I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't get the 1 anyway. Well, it locked because now you're up 7. I know they're playing Orlando, and I don't know if Boston's playing before that. But if both teams win every other game, that's
Boston's
a 7-game
running out of
lead.
runway.
Right. I mean, they're going to be the 1 seed. I loved it, guys. There's a bunch of little things coming into this season that you're like, things you're still worried about as the season's gone along.
Yeah.
Mobley against the other big guys. For the most part, outside of Porzingis, he's done it. Toughness. They showed. Donovan Mitchell was not letting go of that ball. Nope. And Tristan Thompson, whose most important role in this team is this. His leadership, his toughness, his playoff experience. He said, you are not messing with our guy.
Did I see Amani Bates in the back? Did I see him?
I saw Jared Allen and Max Strus doing nothing.
Did I see Amani Bates with the jewelry on? Hold on.
He's jumping in the fray.
Amani got in a little scuffle earlier in the day in the G League game.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, he was. Wow. So he was already on one.
Yeah, he was ready.
He was ready
By
to
the
go.
way, major shout out to the Cavs security team. They did a great job of breaking this up. I don't think I've ever seen an arena, a group of security guys do a better job of breaking it up.
I think why they sprung into action, Mike, you might know this as well. It was too close to the crowd.
That's right.
It was, and the benches.
Yeah.
So that seat, you can't see the people there.
Right.
If Myles Garrett attends a game, that's exactly where Myles Garrett
Could you imagine that?
And I was thinking as this was happening, because where the media seats are, where Sean's shooting, that's our angle from the media seats. Like that. Yeah. That's the same angle. If Myles Garrett was in that tussle, he wouldn't do anything because he's smarter. Like you obviously don't get involved. But Zach Edey is 7'4" and makes Tristan Thompson, who's 6'9", look like a child.
Look how he grabbed this man from 7 feet away. Look at
Myles
his grab.
Garrett just come out and spear Zach Edey in that situation.
They got like 5 security guards on Edey there. They're all dragging him
look
back.
how big. Look how big his tree trunk legs are.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, no, he's an ox.
Yeah,
he's an absolute ox.
But they weren't scared. Like guys were there. They were, some of the guys are standing around on both.
Max Strus was like, I wonder what's going on today.
Can I make one point in the fight real quick?
Sure.
Or it wasn't really a fight, but the tussle.
Yeah.
If this happened 2 years ago, and we'll go back to the Knicks series, and the Cavs made it a whole point after the win on Friday to say that narrative's in the past, different team, different everything. It feels like now the Cavs expect to be there and feel like they truly belong, and they're not letting anyone push them off that pedestal. And 2 years ago with the Knicks, and even at times last season, I don't think they were confident in their standing within the league to where they felt good about pushing back on some of those things, whether it be literally, whether it be metaphorically. To me, this was a perfect example of last night, Donovan saying, the ball is the proverbial, we're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
I don't care who's coming into our house. You're not getting it from us. And earlier in the game, Donovan and Desmond Bane, the two guys fighting for the ball right there, were joking around with each other.
Yeah.
The flip got switched like that in that moment for Donovan. And I think that's a great sign moving forward as they get ready to go into these playoff battles that at any given moment, we're not backing down, and when we have to flip that switch, we have that gear to go to.
And I like the fact, see, Desmond Bane ain't no, like, he a for real, like, he's one of them solid dudes in the league. Like, he not gonna play with you. Like, you don't go up to Desmond Bane and be like, let me pick on this guy. Like, he's not like no thug or nothing, but there's certain people in the league who you could try stuff with. Like, so it wasn't, I respect it because it wasn't fake. Like, if Donovan Mitchell would have done that against, I don't know, who's the kid that was standing in the back, that was number 0, he was a rookie.
Oh, Jalen Wells, who played really well yesterday.
Yeah, he played well. Now, if he'd have did that to the young guy, I'm like, oh, man, I don't count. That's a young rookie.
Bullying someone.
He bully. But when you go after Desmond Bane, that means like, oh, okay, you was about that life for that 5 to 10 seconds. Okay.
One thing to point out was that after the initial struggle for the ball, Donovan Mitchell got very passive. He just threw his hands up in the air.
I like that.
Even when they were pushing him, I think he was either trying to draw a foul or maybe an ejection. Because watch,
that.
After they're separated and he comes up, Mitchell immediately throws his hands in the air as if to say, I'm done, I'm good. And now watch where he ends up. He's going to get shoved onto his back into the seats. And then he gets up and he just walks away.
Hey, look,
let my guys take care of it. Look,
he laughing too.
I'm out.
Hey,
I'm out.
And by the way, that's an Isaiah Thomas move. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Isaiah Thomas used to do that.
All right, Lambeer, take care of business. Rodman,
that's right.
Sally.
Goons over there.
Yeah,
Look, he used to do that and laugh. Him and Joe Dumars be over there laughing.
In hockey, it was Wayne Gretzky. And then Marty McSorley coming in saying, I got this. You go sit over by the bench while I'm going to knock out 4 guys.
I love that.
Speaking of old basketball players, I happened to see a video this weekend of Mitch Richmond, Tim Hardaway, and Chris Mullen doing a 3-point shooting
Run
contest.
TMC, what you mean?
And they're all fat. They all got fat. Mullen's probably the least fat of the three. And he won the contest because he looked like he was in a little better shape than the other two. But it was funny because those guys.
Where was this happening?
I don't know. I think it was in Oakland or something.
It was probably for the All-Star game, Bo.
Yeah, maybe it was the All-Star. I don't know. It was cool because that team was always fun to watch. They could never get a big man.
Yeah.
They never had a big man to put them over
One
the
other
top.
thing about the fight, I thought when things simmered down, late in the game when Morant and Allen had that little come together underneath the hoop, I thought it was cool how both of them handled it.
Right.
You know?
If you see a side angle of the fight, you could actually see Jared Allen and Salty Aldama laughing with each other.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah. That's great.
That's Jared's personality.
Sure.
One thing we haven't touched on enough yet from last night's game was Ty Jerome becoming Ty Jerome again in the fourth quarter. He scored a career-high 15 points in the fourth quarter. He had 26 points in the game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Another incredible bookmark kind of performance for Ty Jerome. I want to play you a clip from Kenny Atkinson in the postgame, and then I want to just dive into the fact that Ty Jerome continues to exceed every expectation possible that we had entering this season.
Mike, do we have Donovan Mitchell's clip too or no?
I do not have Donovan's.
Okay.
I can paraphrase what he
reference
said,
that,
but
too.
I asked Kenny in the postgame, and the audio is we take this off the TV so you can hear the question too. So the audio is not great, but you can still hear it. I basically asked Kenny, this is the 5th, 6th time this year where for a 5-minute stretch, Ty Jerome's become the greatest player on the face of the planet. Is there any indication that you can see this coming? Like, do you get any sense when these moments are about to happen? And then Kenny gave a great answer. So this is Kenny Atkinson on that, and bear with us for the audio.
Ty Jerome's had a couple of moments throughout the season where for a 6-7 stretch he become greatest player in the world. do you get a sense, do you see anything in Ty that you can see those moments coming, that you know it's about to happen?
I mean, one of the coaches asked me, because they're like, is this the same guy? Did you see any of this in Golden State? I'm like, I saw none of this. I saw, cerebral point guard, set-up point guard, get everybody involved, and so it's really an amazing story how he's become this, like, he has Steph-like minutes sometimes. It's like, he's shooting 25 footers, he's getting steals, he's really taking over games. I think the crowd, what I feel is like the crowd starts feeling Ty, and that like elevates him, elevates everybody. It's one of the, kind of strangest things I've seen for a role player, to get that kind of respect and get it going like that. It's really fun to watch.
Donovan Mitchell, guys, went on to say that we shouldn't be surprised anymore.
Right.
We spent the first half of the season basically saying, he can't keep this up, can he? And now I have no doubt. Like, I'm completely confident. I don't know about you guys.
Man.
I have 100% confidence in Ty Jerome right now.
I do, but not to do it every night. To me, it's sort of the David Fry thing. Remember when we were watching David Fry saying, well, this can't continue. There's no way this can continue. Mm-hmm. And then he came back to earth, but then in the playoffs, he had those moments.
Yeah.
I think what we've learned is it's in him. And we shouldn't expect it every time he's out on the floor. And what I love of the many things I love about Kenny, this dude is so transparent.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, most coaches would say, this is what we saw in Golden State that we really thought we could tap into and pull more out of. No, he's like, guys, I don't know where this came from.
Hell no.
There was no tremor here.
Yeah.
The earthquake just happened. And it's not even on a fault.
Yeah.
It's incredible how transparent he is.
So I asked Ty in the locker room after. I was like, hey, Kenny said he didn't see this coming. What do you say? He goes, well, it's because they didn't play me enough. And that was Ty's answer to that. So he said, this has always been me, but I'm also healthy. He's already played more games this season than he's ever played in an NBA season. Health plays a big factor. To your point of, can he keep this up? We'll find out. I have no reason not to believe at this point. I asked Jalen Tyson the same question I asked Kenny, and he goes, I've only been here 1 year, but this has been Ty since the first day I got here. He's been this level of player since I got here. And here's
Mike,
a stat on Ty
if he
Jerome.
gets those minutes every night, he's not going to put up those numbers every night.
No, but
they haven't.
But he's capable of doing
for now, unless somebody gets hurt, and knock on wood or whatever the hell we're knocking on.
Yeah.
We can't have any key injuries.
Man.
But every time he's had to play more minutes because Darius has been out and Donovan's been out. He's come
awesome.
through every single time.
This is give me a stat before I go, Mike. What you have?
I got two stats for you. You want the when he fills in stat first, or just the crazy?
Oh, yeah, love that.
The crazy stat.
Yeah.
So in games where he's played 25 minutes this season, so fill in for starter minutes.
Right.
He's averaging 19.6
How many
per
games,
game.
Mike? Sorry to cut you off.
He's played 9 games of over 25 minutes.
Okay, 9 games. Yeah.
19.6 points per game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, shooting 59% from the floor and 53% from 3 in 9 games where he's played over 25
So
minutes.
that's a small size.
It is small, but he's playing at an all-star level in those situations.
Well, you know what
And here's the other stat, just so I want to make sure I get
Okay.
this out there. Ty Jerome leads the NBA, number 1 in the NBA.
This one's nuts.
On 3-pointers between 25 and 29 feet. So that is not logo distance, but it is not on the line. So one step back. All players, Steph, Damian Lillard,
That's crazy.
Darius, Donovan, Karl-Anthony Towns, you name it. No player has made as many shots at the clip that he has made than Ty Jerome in that category.
What's the percentage there?
48%.
Jeez, that's incredible.
I'm telling you,
That's his hot zone.
I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest compliment I can give any coach. When we talk about we like free capitalism, we like laissez-faire, we don't like people to be putting restrictions on everything. When you got a coach who's willing, you notice he said, man, he got these Steph times where he just, pulling up from half court. First of all, you got to have the green light to even be able to get that off. First of all, a coach who lets a bench player get that off says a lot about his confidence level, right? And the fact that to even get to this point where he's throwing up floaters like this, and guess what? Donovan Mitchell is over there saying, all right, we'll pull up then. Like, it's not like he's on the floor with the twos. He's on the floor with Mobley, and he's on the floor with Donovan Mitchell, and he's still doing this. People, and this is why I always go crazy, this is what the Browns can learn from. Sometimes if you go about and you put confidence in people and you let people do their thing and play their game and play free and let them be who they are instead of trying to control everything down to a vice, you'll get people that develop out of nowhere. Think about this. Kenny Atkinson came in and said, all right, Evan Mobley, you take the ball court to court. So Evan Mobley's like, cool, I'll do that, and I'll shoot threes too. Ty Jerome, who cares? Go in. Sam Merrill even got the green light. Think about how many people got the green light on his team, and they just
Sam gets in stretches too, where you're like, this is unconscious.
Right.
And it's like, and I love the fact that he just didn't even, no cap in his words, no cap at all. He said, man, I ain't see none of this.
I know, I love that too.
I wasn't none.
I guess what I always think back to, I mentioned the David Fry comparison. The one guy that I was really slow to come around on because I just felt like it was fool's gold was Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
And he became a daily debate topic for us on First Take every day. I mean, and it was almost like exactly what Tim Tebow had become. And all the smart basketball minds, the Tim Leglers of the world, everybody that I really trusted at ESPN were telling me, man, this is smoke and mirrors. This is not sustainable. And then we would go into game 20. And then we would go into game 30.
Cooking.
And I finally, after a long, long stretch of saying, I'm not going to believe this because my eyes aren't matching what my brain knows about basketball, about the time I bought in, he disappeared forever and always.
Right.
Mike, I'm not sure, you were probably in your teens when.
I remember Linsanity very well.
Okay, you were probably, you were definitely not in college yet.
What year was Linsanity? 2008, right?
07, 08?
Yeah, I was in high school.
What the hell was that? And put my mind at ease that this is not going to happen here.
Okay, two comparisons first. Who was the coach of that Knicks team?
What am I doing?
Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, well.
Guess who Kenny Atkinson is a protege of?
Is he in the tree?
He is in the Atlanta Mike D'Antoni tree. That was a perfect fit at the perfect time for a player and an offense. Jeremy Lin did one thing incredibly well.
Yes, he did.
And that was operate in the pick and roll. And he had a couple of bigs at that time that were the perfect role guys. And, yeah, he shot over his mind. And do I think for his career is Ty a 50, 40, 90 guy career-wise? Probably not. Right. But I do think it's probably unfair for us to have an idea of what we thought Ty could be because he'd been hurt his whole career. We have never seen the full version of Ty Jerome at the NBA level. And what he's done this season in terms of, he's talked about it at length, changing his body. He's stronger now, more flexible to try and avoid injuries. His ability to do that little slow step, which he's almost mastered.
He really has.
Which is something that
seems
move. Like an easy move. It's one of the hardest moves to pull off. Right. The body control that goes into running at full speed, then stopping on one ankle, letting the defender roll past. I have another stat for you. Do you guys know what B-ball index is?
Not sure.
It puts percentiles. It keeps track of every player in the league, percentiles, and can tell you this player in this particular instance is doing this.
Okay.
Right now this season, and I actually emailed the guy who runs it. His name's Tim Cranges. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. We went back and forth this morning, so I needed some clarity because the stat's crazy. Ty Jerome this season, according to B-ball index, is in the 3rd percentile of shot quality, meaning he's taking only difficult shots at what they grade difficult shots. He's in the 100th percentile in terms of shot making. So I asked him, because I asked Ty about that last night too. I said, Ty, you're on the opposite end of the spectrums here. Tell me how that makes sense. And he goes, well, I take a lot of floaters. Those aren't considered good shots for most people, but for me, that's my bread and butter. That's the shot I'm most comfortable taking, even though they're not considered necessarily
So he's getting
good
extra
shots.
points for them. But for him, they're easy.
So I emailed the guy who runs B-Ball Index to get some clarity. And he's gave me how they determine good shots versus bad shots. But he said, you may like this stat. We've been doing this for 12 years. In the history of the 12-year database that we have accumulated, every player who plays 1 minute in the NBA is in this database. There have only been 82 players total in the top 5 percentile in shot making and the bottom 5 percentile in shot quality, which Ty Jerome is in this season. He is currently having the 22nd best season in that category in terms of differentiation between shot making and shot quality that B-Ball Index has recorded in the last dozen years.
See, that makes me that is one of the things that would make me question how sustainable this is.
I guess I'd have to know who else is in that top 20.
Yeah, were there other names that stood
Kevin
out?
Durant in 2021, 2022 had the largest differential. The other guys this season in the shot making versus shot quality, DeMar DeRozan, Jaren Jackson Jr., who we saw last night, Brandon Ingram. He's in the same category this season as Kyrie, Zion, Jalen Brunson, Durant, Wembanyama, and Anthony Simons.
All
of the
good
Blazers.
players.
They seem those players take.
It's elite company to be in.
It doesn't feel like he takes bad shots watching him
But
play.
do they count mid-range jumpers as a bad shot?
That's the worst shot in basketball.
Like, because Durant and Brunson and those guys and DeRozan shoot a lot of 16
but he can nail those jumpers.
Well, to his point, he goes, for me, floaters are a great shot for me.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from the overall spectrum, which all these websites have to look at as an umbrella because they're not taking into account individual players and stuff, a floater with a guy in your back is not a good shot.
Yeah.
But for Ty Jerome, it's a great shot.
Well, it's like the guy in baseball, Bull, that for some reason can handle the cutter that no other hitter can handle, or the slider that no other hitter can, but can't handle cookies.
You'll often see a mediocre or worse hitter. You'll see a Greg Maddux or a guy like that say,
so-and-so, which nobody had the most success against.
I couldn't get him out.
How do you explain it? Well, he's the Ty Jerome of baseball.
But what I would say about Ty Jerome is that, and I don't know this for sure, but let's say Ty Jerome, some bad team offers him a big contract next year, and he goes to be the starting point guard in some bad team.
He may not.
I don't think he's going to be that good. I don't know if you're, agree.
But
in this role, he's perfect.
That's what I like most about what you said about the Lynn comparison. With that team in that system, and I mean, they obviously prioritized pick and roll more once they realized what they had, but you change the parts around, and you take him and put him in a different offense altogether with different pieces, and all of a sudden it's like it's the clock struck midnight and the ruby slippers are gone.
These guys are the key to beating the Celtics. When you watch the Celtics play, there's a lot of times that it's not Tatum and Brown that get you. It's the Derek Whites. It's the Drew Holidays. It's the Pritchards.
Don't let those guys get hot.
If you give them 20, it's an equation. If you give them 20, that means you gotta hold one of them other dudes to 12 or 13. And what's the likelihood of that happening?
It's hard.
And so my thing is, I take a look at it. If the Cavs want to win a championship, you're gonna have to look at it. There's gonna be certain games. Sam Merrill's gonna have to be 4 or 5 from 3. He doesn't have to give you 20 plus points, but you're still going to look for Ty Jerome to give you 17. DeAndre Hunter's going to have 22, 23 one of these games. So those are the guys that really help you win the games. And I like the fact that they're getting those reps now against the Memphis Grizzlies team. They're getting those reps against somebody that really counts. And they getting them in a place where guys like Darius Garland are off the floor. That's a valuable experience.
One last thing, Mike, I'd like to say, and I'm kind of talking out my you-know-what because I'm not with the team as much. You're with the team all the time. As much as any media member can be because you're at all the home games. It seems to me, from an outsider's perspective, that, yes, we've talked a lot about Kenny Atkinson. He's done an amazing job. Got zero negative to say about him. We've talked about Evan Mobley's progress and Ty Jerome's progress. But I think a lot of this, in conjunction with Kenny Atkinson, goes back to Donovan Mitchell as the leader of this team, building the confidence in all the players around him. Mm-hmm. First of all, Ty Jerome, they're friends since they're kids. I think that has to mean something. Ty Jerome is finally in a spot where he's comfortable. He's played for other teams. He didn't have these relationships. He knew that the best player on the Cavs knew he could play.
Yeah.
And that Donovan was going to believe in him. And Donovan, I think, gets at least a tiny bit of credit for the improvement of Evan Mobley. Sure. Again, most of the credit to Mobley, and certainly, but I think Donovan Mitchell is such a great leader that he makes the guys around him believe that they can get it done, and that's a big part of why they're having such success.
Because he's not selfish.
He's one of the least selfish
sharing
superstars
the spotlight,
ever.
And that's how you win a title.
He wants to win.
Darius Garland
and
Allen could have been gone. Darius Garland and Allen could have been gone this offseason if it went for
and thankfully it didn't happen.
No.
Last point on Ty Jerome, then we'll move on. And
do you agree with what I said, Mike? Do you buy that or no?
I do.
Okay.
In terms of, because we got a ton of questions after last night.
Yeah.
Can the Cavs re-sign Ty Jerome?
Yeah.
The answer is I actually think it's pretty likely they will.
Good.
Because of two things. A, they have early bird rights, so they can pay a little over what expected. And the other thing is there are not a lot of teams that have cap space and a starting job available. So if Brooklyn wants to throw him a ton of money, the Cavs can't match it. And if he wants to start because this is one chance to get a giant payday, then the Cavs probably out of luck in that regard. However, you talk about his relationship with Donovan Mitchell, growing up with Donovan. DeAndre Hunter is his best friend.
Yep.
Kobe Altman loved him coming out of the draft. Kobe Altman has not been shy. He admitted it to us. He's talked about it at length that he's tried to get Ty Jerome 3 or 4 times now. He's in a situation with Kenny Atkinson, who he has a coach who believes in his talents, in his skill sets. I'm not sure there's a better position. Actually, no, for a fact, there's not a better position in the NBA for Ty Jerome to continue his ascent into being a perennial 6th man of the year, borderline starter level player. And sure, if he needs not needs the money, but if he wants to get the biggest paycheck available, there are a few teams that could offer more money than Cleveland, but it's not significant. And I do think the fact that it will be within the realm of a couple $1 million here or there, maybe $10 million over the course of the contract over multiple seasons, the relationships he has built in Cleveland with the guys he grew up with the guys he went to college with, and with the GM and coach who believe in him unlike any other, I think gives the Cavs a legitimate chance to re-sign him.
Yeah,
Do you think Mikey is going to win 6th man of the year? Is he where is he?
I don't think he's going to win it, but they made a point last night saying in the broadcast that there are guys that have more impressive numbers, but the line was, I don't think there's any 6th man of the year that has more impact on winning.
I think
I would say that's true.
The top 3 in Vegas right now are Peyton Pritchard.
Yep.
Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter.
They're going to cancel each other out.
So.
They're going to cancel each other. I was going to say that earlier. Especially, that's why I kind of wanted Hunter to start because I'm like, well, look, he was averaging 19 points off the bench. He was the highest scorer. And now Ty Jerome has come along. So now it's like they kind of cancel each other out in terms of votes. But he's playing like one of the best guys off the bench.
Well, the fact that you have 2 6th man of the year candidates on the same roster speaks to what we were talking about before, what the point you made. Every team has the duo of superstars. Every team that's in contention, they have the 2 guys that on any given night can just blow your doors off. It really is right now in the NBA about the accessories, about the other pieces. And that's why I love this Cavs team so much with Hunter and with Jerome. And, Allen's not a tent pole, but he's a great accessory to have. In playoff series where every point is so critical and every defensive stand is so important, they've got the tools, the clubs in the bag to play a complete round against anybody.
Even when you go back in, just really quickly going back a little bit about the game with the Knicks. I love the trade. Mikey loved the trade. I like Bridges. But when you analyze that deal, Cat has been outstanding for them. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. You know what you're going to get from Jalen Brunson. But when I watch them, it just doesn't seem like the same team. The Hartenstein, Hart, and DiVincenzo, those were headaches. Those were those 3 dudes, and then you had Mitchell Robinson rotating in. That was the heart and soul of what they were doing. They're better offensively, but look at their defensive numbers now.
It's hurt.
More later on that.
Yeah, we'll get into some more Cavs stuff in a bit. The Cavs play the Magic tomorrow night. I'm going to do a live post-game show after the Cavs Magic game for our Ultimate Cavalier show this week. Jason's in Indy for the Combine. So instead of doing Cavs and coffee, we are going to do a little nightcap Cavs Magic live post-game show tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune into that. We'll talk some more Cavs in a little Cavs. I like that. Cavs crazy.
Go with it.
Jay. We'll talk some more Cavs in the big picture in a sec, but over the weekend we got some news about Joel Bitonio. According to Mary Kay Cavity, if you want to take tag board here full, he is undetermined on his future, still working through his decision on whether or not to retire. He will give the Browns an answer soon before free agency begins, but he has not made up his mind at this point. He does say he's leaning one way, but he's not ready to announce which way he is leaning. Jay, have we seen the last of Joel Bitonio in a Browns uniform?
I think we have, yeah. In my experience with players, in talking with them over the years about their decision to retire, they almost always, not every time, but almost always are when they say they're leaning one way or the other, it's almost always, I'm going to retire. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to, but the fact that for you to get to the point in your brain where you're considering it, you already know what the answer is, or you wouldn't be asking the question. That's why I think, in my experience, they know, and I've had guys tell me the exact same thing. More so with baseball players, oddly enough. Mm-hmm. But I've had some NFL players tell me when I started asking the question, I think I already knew the answer, and I was trying to talk myself out of the answer, and at the end I couldn't. So maybe he'll play again, but he hasn't been the same player. I think we'll all agree on that. He has been I don't want to say injury prone, but he's been dinged. And that typically, and Bull, we've talked about this before, this is a position where you get old quick. Mm-hmm. It happens right before your eyes, and you're like, wow, he's just not the same guy. Yeah. Maybe he'll come back, but right now I would tend to think if I'm betting, I'm putting more chips on he's done than he's coming back.
Here's a few different reasons why I do believe he's leaning towards not coming back. The first part is you take a look at Joel Bitonio and you look at what his body pretty much is going through. When you're on the outside and you're playing tackle, it's a finesse game. You know, even when you're run blocking, you're trying to reach people and trying to get the corner on a lot of people. It's not too many people inside. It's less wear and tear. But when you play in guard, like you're in a phone box or phone booth with like a spoon fight. Like you just with blunt objects. It's just wild. Like, so for him to be a guard, one, it takes its toll on your body. Two, if he was outside and just pass rushing, that would be a little bit less on him. But I look at it this way. Nobody wants a new boss. You say, what does that mean, G. Bush? Nobody, listen, at this point in your time, like that's just like we sit here right today. And I know this is, I don't know you guys, but somebody from upstairs says, hey, new general manager, Jay.
Change.
You see his
unknown.
face. Look,
the unknown.
Jay, like he automatically, when you've been here a certain while, now me or McNuggets, we like, yeah, listen, we young boys, we young wolves, we got to go get it wherever.
We'll roll with the punches.
But when you get older, you see Jay put it,
Well, we're going through that upstairs, oddly enough. We're going through it. Our longtime GM, Mickey Burns, has said, yeah, April's it for me.
And then you looking around like, come on, I do not want no young dude with a lot of energy coming here. You know what the program is. I got a specific certain schedule. Don't be coming here trying to amp me up. They come in with all kind of dudes. He has a new offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So this is two in the last, I guess, 2 years. He used to be in with Callahan. Who's the guy before, the big guy? That was the
Wiley.
Yeah.
Bob Wiley.
He's used to a certain pedigree, and now I got to deal with this. And then plus too, can you imagine? Offensive line play is only good as who's calling the signals. Do you think that he wants to get back there and hear guys fumble calls in and they got a rookie quarterback and they don't know which way they doing and he throwing interceptions. You got to say all the right stuff and you like, I'm tired of this.
And I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the money.
And he don't need the money. Offensive linemen don't spend
no money.
One
other thing that I left out in my comments, the reason I think he's gone public he's wrestling with this idea.
Right, yeah.
If he does come back, everybody else in the offensive line room are going to be saying, do you think he should have come back?
Yeah.
Is he fully here?
Right.
Because he was already talking about quitting.
Well,
and that's why I think if you go public with the idea that you're wrestling with the decision is made.
Especially, and I agree with both of everything you said, Jay, and Chi. First of all, what you said, like when you're a veteran player and the season's first over, certainly you can understand why guys would think about retiring.
Right.
But now, like the Browns have been done playing for almost 2 months.
Right.
It's like 6 weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. So by this point in the past, maybe last year Joel thought about retiring when Callahan was gone.
But didn't tell anybody about it.
But didn't tell anybody, and maybe that's how he felt for a week after the season. And then he started to feel better, as I'm sure guys feel better after a couple of weeks. And he was like, nah, I still can play, right?
Yeah.
If he's still not sure 6 weeks later, that's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Because he's got to make the decision before free agency, because otherwise he screws the team
it's time.
If he retires after free agency starts. So he's going to make the decision. The fact that he was undecided and said that he's leaning one way, I don't see how it could possibly be the other way. Now, again, as you said, maybe we'll be surprised.
Right.
But he's looking at the situation. As you guys said, we've all talked to Joel Bitonio because he's been consistently he gets voted as the best guy for the media because he talks all the time. He's extremely smart. Odds are he's been good with his money. He doesn't need the money. I think if the Browns were on the verge of a Super Bowl, maybe he'd give it one more go. I'm sure Joe Thomas, if the Browns had been on the verge of a Super Bowl, might have given it one more season. But he's looking at a situation where he has no idea who the quarterback's going to be. He has no idea who his left tackle is going to be playing next to him. Their offensive line is deteriorating. They have very little talent, period, on the offense. And he's been, as you said, Jay, just physically beat up. He's played through almost all of it. But like Joe Thomas, who played through all these injuries, so has Joel. Him and Joe Thomas are buddies. And he talks to Joe, obviously, all the time. Joel's got to be saying, am I going to go out there and take another beating for another year for a team that's going to win 5 games? I'm not doing that.
And Joe Thomas talks about this, and this is going through Myles Garrett's head, too. He's getting to the point of the season where Bull is, he has to start working out.
Right. Yes.
Right.
And it's harder and harder every year.
He's sitting there right now, like he's like, I'm gonna take a load off. I'm gonna hang out with my kids. I'm gonna hang out with my wife and family time. He's been on vacation. He came back, and that thing in the back of your head, and then that thing that starts ticking, like, hey man, Jay, you might want to start throwing these pitches. You might, what are you doing? You might want to start getting on that treadmill.
I would say February gets here fast.
They get here, and he's sitting there thinking about it like, I just don't got it right now.
Yeah, I don't have the energy.
I don't have the want to, and that's
scary. A good point. That's a good point. The other thing, Bull, that I wonder, we've talked about Joel before as could be a Hall of Famer. I wonder if he's talked to Joe Thomas. I wonder if he's doing some calculus on if I put one more good year in the bank, will that help me get the gold jacket?
Yeah.
Personally, trying to take my bias out of it, I don't think he's done enough.
No.
And in that vein, I don't think there's anything he can do in one more year that will get him over the hump.
I agree. He's a
great
so
player.
few offensive linemen that get
I know there are.
Ring of-
You've got to be transformational.
He's an
excellent offensive lineman.
He is.
But he's a notch below the Hall of Famer level, I think.
Ring of Honor guy.
Is Zach Martin a Hall of Famer?
I
don't know enough.
Yeah, but when I hear names, I always do the
feel like
name
yes,
test.
yeah.
I feel like with Zach Martin, yes.
How
now
many
they're probably
times?
played. I bet their careers are the same length.
He played 9 seasons.
Okay, I don't know what year. What is this?
Zach Martin was drafted the same year Aaron Donald and Odell Beckham Jr. were.
Okay,
those are 3 picks back to back to back.
Wow, that's a hell of a. That's.
I just think the biggest thing in the end is what you said, Jay, earlier. Once you've considered retiring at this level, not just for a week after the season, but for almost 2 months later, if there's part of you that thinks you should retire, it's got to be hard to get that engine going again, especially where it needs to be for him to have success.
Don't think you tell a reporter if unless you are 80% sure.
Right.
Could there be something that could maybe trigger, I'm going to play one more year?
Right.
Yes. But if you're telling a reporter that you're doing the math on this, then your teammates know. And if you're thinking about being out, you've got 1 foot out the door.
That's right.
And it's probably
time
to go.
It's like working on a Friday when you're going on a week-long vacation after. You're not locked in on that
You're
show.
there, but you're not there.
For the sake of this, let's say Bitonio does retire. He may change his mind, but they drafted Zach Zinter in the 3rd round last year. Is Zinter ready to? He can't fill Joel Bitonio's shoes, but is he ready to step in and be the everyday starter at left guard?
He better be. I mean, that's all they got. I don't have much faith in it. He played last year. He has to get much stronger. He's not really a great athlete. Well, Joel Bitonio, even at this point, is not a great athlete, but he's exponentially stronger, better hands, knows the tricks of the trade. Is that a downgrade at guard? Yes, it is. Even the different the body types, right? One of the things that they've been trying to get away with, and I think they've kind of done so, even when you get Nick Harris and you got Zach Zinter, if you plan on being a bruising team and you want to run the football, you got to look at what you was doing when you were successful. Y'all better go back to y'all better get a fullback. Yeah. You better get you some more tight ends that can block. David Njoku is a good blocker, but you need bigger bodies. Zach Zinter, are you really going to get a guy? Zach Zinter It's not even that he don't outweigh me, and I'm a civilian. I don't like that. That's not that ain't gonna get it done. Like you gonna have to have a lot of different things. Are they gonna miss a lot of stuff? Sure. And DeJuan Jones is gonna have to play at a level where now he is not the add-on. He's going to have to be the guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to be the guy when it's like, hey, I got this. I'm holding this side down by myself.
Yeah.
That's the scary part about it. You've had him. And then you think about it like this. Wyatt Teller is another guy who, you've always known what you have from guard to guard. You've always known that.
Yeah.
And this season, if they do have Bitonio go out, it's the first time you're starting to see people move into that direction, which signals a rebuild.
I look at their offensive line, which 2 years ago, certainly 3 years ago, was a major strength of this team.
It was. Mm-hmm.
As now trending towards being one of the biggest weaknesses on the team, of a team that unfortunately has a lot of weaknesses right now.
Weaknesses, yeah.
I'm worried. I'm big time worried about the offensive line with him retiring. I don't know what you got at left tackle. Conklin played well at right tackle last year, but he's been extremely injury prone. Wyatt Teller's play has declined. They got bad play from the center last year.
Yeah.
It's a major concern, the offensive line. Listen, to be fair to Zach Sinner, he was a rookie last year and he didn't play that much. Yeah. But I don't know how you could have any faith going into the season.
Not to mention the fact that back then you had a prime Hunt, a prime Chubb.
Right. Now they got nobody.
You can run everything from outside zone, inside zone, out off tackle. And back then, if you needed to get 2 yards, you can line up and get it any way you wanted to. Now it's a different way. It's a different thing.
The NFL Combine gets underway today. Jason Lloyd is at the Combine. He's going to join us Wednesday, but our next topic involves one of the quarterbacks at the Combine. We'll get to that after a quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action, and if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS, for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, guys, the Combine officially kicks off today. No one does drills until later in the week. Jason Lloyd, as I mentioned, is there. He'll join us Wednesday before he speaks with Kevin Stefanski. But this came out over the weekend. Actually, let's start with this. Mary Kay mentioned this morning that the Browns, like both Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, would feel pretty comfortable drafting either at number 2. But there's something about Shedeur Sanders that came out that I wanted to at least address with you guys real quick. And let's figure out whether or not this is a big deal or no big deal. So Ian Rappaport tweeted out that Colorado quarterback and potential top pick Shedeur Sanders plans to focus on his interviews with teams at the NFL Scouting Combine, helping them continue to learn him as a person. He will allow his 4 years of film to speak loudly and throw darts at his pro day with the 4 draftable quarterbacks. So that came out on Saturday. This morning, Rappaport tweeted, it's uncertain whether or not Cam Ward will throw at the Combine, but Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Riley Leonard will throw. But back to Shedeur Sanders for a second. Someone quote tweeted this tweet. His name's Hayden Winks. He is a NFL draft expert at Underdog Fantasy. He tweeted that I think there's an obvious reason he, being Shedeur Sanders, is not throwing live next to his peers. I don't know who Hayden Winks is, but we've had Dane Brugler on the show.
So how do we know he's an expert?
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed, but Dane Brugler
I've never heard of him.
No.
I wouldn't have. This tweet means nothing to me, but then Dane Brugler responded, and we like Dane Brugler.
Yeah,
been on the show, well respected. He responded to a couple of tweets, starting with this one. He responded simply, facts.
Wow.
Someone asked him to explain.
I'm surprised he agrees with that.
Yeah.
Someone asked Dane to explain, and he responded, C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson both threw an Indy 2 years ago. It's not as rare as you may seem. It's disappointing he's not going to throw because he's not a locked top 5 pick, but also not surprising. Someone then asked Dane, why aren't you surprised then? He said, I've said it all season. His, being Shedeur Sanders, physical traits are underwhelming. The ball doesn't explode off his hand. No. And then he followed that up lastly because then people started saying, you just hate Shedeur Sanders. He said, it's bizarre that any criticism of Shedeur is considered hate. I've talked at length about the positives of his game, but there are plenty of concerns too. So Shedeur not throwing, Cam TBD, some of the other guys will throw. It just took me a little back. At first, I didn't think anything of Shedeur not throwing. That's pretty common. But to see Dane, who I do respect in terms of his draft evaluation, kind of put that out there, it just raised a little bit of a red flag that something may be off. Should we look into this whatsoever? Or does Dane maybe have a point here that Shedeur's, I don't want to say taking the easy route out because that's not the right way to phrase it, but Shedeur may be hiding something, I guess, for lack of a better way to phrase it.
Man, this business. At this point in time, any person who is talking to Shedeur or understands what the game is, or his agent or his team, it does you no good for you to go out there if you're locked to be one of the first two quarterbacks to come off the board. Why would you throw?
Dane says he's not, though.
I mean, it's
his opinion.
Dane said he's not locked to be in the top five.
Top five.
I don't know that he said he's not locked to be top two quarterbacks. I don't know that he is.
So if say for instance Tennessee already says we already want Cam Ward, forget it. We don't care. We're taking Cam Ward. It does you no good. You can't get any higher than where you're at right now. But where you can go is slower. Yeah. If you come out there and you throw in the ball, you have some like you're asking yourself. This is just a test. When you're doing a combine, you're throwing the receivers you have no clue about. You've been talking to people all day. You've been doing interviews. You've been on a whiteboard in front of everybody. There's guys coming in. There's agents. There's all kind of stuff. You don't got that much sleep. You're like, listen, I'll come in and interview. That's mentally taxing enough. I'll come in and interview with you. But I'm not going to throw until I get all of the things that look great for me. If you are worried about my arm strength or how it comes off my hands or whether or not I can hit certain routes, come on down to Boulder. I'm going to have all my receivers that I've been throwing to since the beginning of time. I'm going to have my plays scripted. My quarterback coach is going to be down here. And we're going to ace the test just like everybody aces the test at their pro days. What he's telling you is you're going to have to evaluate the tape. And that's what general managers get paid. We're not going to give you no incentive to jump up or incentive to drop back. You're going to have to evaluate what happened on that field during this game tape, and we'll see if you make the right choice. If it was me, no, I wouldn't throw.
So I was kind of ambivalent on this until I saw Dane. I respect Dane so much that he actually changed my mind on this, which I don't want to say he changed my mind. He just pushed me into one way of thinking because I was kind of ambivalent. I don't care if he throws or not. A lot of guys don't throw. But the way he framed it, I think, is very interesting. I had a GM tell me years ago, this was in the late 1990s, I had a GM tell me that when he's analyzing draft picks, he just pros and cons. And every single thing is either a pro or a con, and there's no gray. So arm strength, is it a pro? Is it a con? Size, is it a pro? Is it a con? Speed, processing, all of it. Everything had to be black or white. And I hearken back to that because I would ask, okay, his decision not to throw at pro day, pro or con? Con for the team. If it's a pro for the player, that's a red flag for the team. Here's why. All the points you brought up are absolutely true. Not his receivers, not much sleep, working on in uncomfortable surroundings. Good. I want to see how you perform. And guess what? Every other quarterback that's going to throw, same exact playing field. It's apples to apples. Everybody looks great at their pro day. Mm-hmm. Everybody, because you're throwing the routes you're most comfortable with. Now, the scouts and the general managers have input. I want to see 8 straight out throws. Mm-hmm. I want to see your deep balls. I want to see this, that, and the other. So I think basically, if you're confident in your skill set and you think, I can do everything they're going to ask me to do and do it well, it's a positive to me. It's a pro about the player that he says, hell yeah, I'm going to throw. And I'm going to run, and I'll run backwards if you ask me to run backwards. And I'm going to do everything you ask me to do because I want to prove to you that I am absolutely the guy. Nothing to hide. And so I've kind of gone from not caring to I do think it's a bit of a negative to the player if he says I'm not going to throw. And I know that a lot of others have done exactly what he's doing.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, what's his name, with the Patriots drafted last year?
Drake May.
Drake May all did not throw.
Probably more of the top prospects don't.
Yeah, Joe Burrow didn't throw. Matthew Stafford didn't throw. Andrew Luck didn't throw. Sam Darnold didn't throw.
By the way,
Kyler
there
Murray
weren't
didn't
many
throw.
questions on any of those guys.
Well, I mean, Sam Darnold didn't throw. Kyler
Sam
Murray.
Darnold was where did he go? What
Third.
pick? He was second or third?
It was the third
After
quarterback
Baker?
taken.
Yes, but
Drake May, there were questions about Drake May. Kyler Murray, there were questions about him. To me, this is a nothing burger.
You don't
yes, if I had to make a list of everything that he did and say, here's a positive, here's a negative, and I had no choice, I had to put it in one of the column, okay, I'll put it in the negative column if I had to. But to me, it's a nothing burger. The combine, to me, is the most overrated part of this entire process. To me, the only thing that matters in the combine is the conversations with the players, getting to know the player, learning about them. What they do on the field in the combine, we all watch it on TV. We've seen guys move up the draft because of it, and most of the time when that happens, it turns out to be a bust and a mistake.
Is his arm strength a question at all for you? Because it is for me.
Yeah, sure, it is, but him throwing at the combine is not going to change. His arm strength is what it is. People have seen him play for a number of years.
Right. He has a good arm, not a great arm. He's not going to throw the ball through a wall or anything. He has good arm strength. He's not a guy that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I just saw Shedeur Sanders throw a right. That's not his game.
Right.
You know who did have that kind of arm? Anthony Richardson. Did the Colts regret drafting him when he moved up because of the combine?
Yeah.
I heard our Greg. We talked on Friday because Greg Cosell had said that he thinks Cam Ward is head and shoulders better than Shedeur. Okay. In fact, he didn't even have Shedeur as his second best quarterback. And I respect Greg Cosell's ability to break down tape better than anybody.
He's great.
And we talked about Cam Ward, and he said he thinks Cam Ward would have been with the better guys. At the very least, he would have been the fourth quarterback last year when everybody else was saying, oh, no, six. I heard his thoughts on Shedeur Sanders over the weekend. And what he said about Shedeur Sanders was he thinks he's actually going to be a starting quarterback in the league for a long time. But the reason he wouldn't take him high is because he doesn't see the upside in Shedeur Sanders. He looks at Shedeur Sanders as one of these quarterbacks that's going to be a mid-tier quarterback, good solid player. He's not going to win you. You're not going to necessarily win because of him, but you're not going to lose because of him. He'll be one of those quarterbacks that you're like, is he good enough to win with? I don't know. Right on the borderline. And it's just one man's opinion. That's what he said. That's not an insult. I mean, the guy said he's going to be a starting quarterback in the league for a while, but that Cam Ward's got way more upside than Shedeur.
I think upside sometimes gets thrown around as flash. Like it's like, okay, well, I'm guessing when you say somebody has more upside, you have a trait that really excites you more than anybody else. Usually if it's a quarterback, there's two things that people go on upside. One is if you throw the ball really, really hard, or if you are a guy that can run. And those two are the things, like nobody says, oh, the way he anticipates throws and understands defense creates this huge upside. That ain't sexy enough. You need to be running a 4.4, 4.5, or you can straight up spin it where people get mesmerized of how you throw the football. But I look at it and I look at quarterbacks like Joe Burrow. I look at quarterbacks before, even when I did a show on the Barbershop a couple weeks ago, and you can go back and watch how many people had crazy stuff to say about Josh Allen.
Oh yeah,
PFF said that Josh Allen, his upside. Now watch this. Josh Allen's upside, if you don't believe me, go back and take a look at it. They told me that Josh Allen's upside was a poor man's Baker Mayfield. I said, that's wild. How did that come? Josh Allen, poor man's Baker Mayfield. Todd McShay said Jalen Hurts specifically will not lead the Eagles or any other franchise to a Super Bowl. He's been to two of them, won one, and he's been an MVP. Yeah. So everybody has an opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. You just need to understand that I don't think people will debate. He's the second best quarterback, or somewhere between him and Cam Ward is the best two quarterbacks coming out of this draft. It's up to you to figure out, what happened to unlocking people? Can you unlock some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach him.
Can you coach them? Can you coach them out of that?
I think from the outside, you want the quarterback to either have an elite arm or elite athletic ability, as you say. And he doesn't have that. Now, Joe Burrow doesn't have that either. Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the NFL that doesn't have one of those two things. And right? Lamar's an elite athlete. Josh Allen, elite arm strength. And obviously Patrick Mahomes has got the elite arm strength.
Herbert has elite size.
Yeah.
6'6". And
so Burrow, he doesn't have elite, I think, processing and brain. And but a lot of people think Shedeur Sanders, in terms of reading the defense,
it's really
maybe elite. So if he is, then maybe he's going to be better. His physical traits aren't elite level.
Yes, I agree with that.
But if the mental is, I'd rather take a guy with good physical traits who's mentally a 10 than a guy who's mentally you're concerned about and has elite physical traits.
Bernie Kosar.
Bernie
Kosar had below average measurables in all of it.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe is going to destroy the combine. If Jalen Milroe goes to the combine and he runs,
he's throwing at the combine.
If he does everything, he's going to come out here looking like the cream of the crop. However,
I think Jackson Dart's going to look good there
Jackson Dart will look very good. Yeah. Those guys, because where they're slotted, they unfortunately have to do that.
Yeah, sure.
If you, it's just like telling people that want to get in the industry, man. I want to be in the game. You tell them you got to work nights and weekends. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Move to Oklahoma.
Let me ask you this, then we can wrap it up. But if Cam Ward decides to throw, and he's still TBD,
I bet he doesn't.
I would guess he doesn't either.
No.
But if Cam Ward decides to throw, would that change how you look at this situation?
It doesn't help Shedeur, but it's not going to change my mind.
I bet he won't throw, though.
To me, it's in a vacuum. You're either going to do it or you're not.
Right.
I mean, if everybody else decides to throw and you're the only guy that doesn't, it doesn't help your cause at all. And again, the question is, could this hurt him or help him? He's getting people that are telling him, don't do it. Why? Well, it could hurt you.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you're in a situation where you're like, man, my arm is so strong. And by the way, the difference in size between the NFL ball and the college ball, it's while not significant, it's a bigger football. And there have been questions about, and I don't know what his actual measurement is of his hand size, but that's something that's going to be made a huge deal about. Mm-hmm. How can he twirl the ball? How are you spinning it? And that might be an issue as well. So if you've already got question mark under arm strength, that's not a good thing to have a question mark under.
Think about it this way, and I just popped into my head. What if Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, and guys like Curtis Rourke or guys Will Howard, what if they go to the combine and they all throw terribly?
Doesn't help them.
What that does is, by process of elimination, he stayed home. Didn't have to throw the football, and now he looks
look at the variables you threw into that.
Right.
You threw a lot of variables. Like if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
I mean, they can move up. Jackson Dart, I think, has an opportunity to move into the first round if he throws the ball well. But if those guys, it's just like blah, it's going to solidify him by just being not by process of elimination. I don't throw. Now you have to use the tape, and I was already second coming in. So
I just like the confidence. To me, the quarterback position is played with moxie and confidence.
Yeah.
I want a guy that's like, hell yeah, I'm throwing. And when I'm done throwing, you're going to say, wow, he threw the ball great. I want that guy, not the guy who's playing it safe and saying, yeah, no, I got too much to lose to throw the football. I'm not going to do it. I want an aggressive, confident mentality because that's what the position demands.
I just can't understand at this point why teams would be factoring in the quarterback, how they throw at the combine. You got all the tape on him in games.
You know what I always think about on the combine? Do you remember when Alex Smith, and this was his pro day, we covered it live on ESPN, and there were guys at the combine that said, longtime scouts, 25 years in the business, said, this is by far the best exhibition of football throwing we've ever seen. That somebody was tracking it, and he said he threw 68 footballs, and 67 of them were exactly on point. And I remember this about it. They actually said they gave him an ovation. The scouts, the NFL scouts,
that's so terrible,
gave the man an ovation at the end of it. Yeah. Which, that's a tough crowd to impress.
Yeah.
When you leave there, you're like, I don't know if they liked it or not. These guys all put their cards on the table. We loved it.
Yeah.
He had one thing.
So,
he had heart.
And he was just a guy.
He did have heart. It ended up being just a guy in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nobody ever... based on what they were saying, I'm like,
Yeah.
my God, this is the second coming of Joe Montana.
Yeah.
This is it. Here he is, the Holy Grail. He was okay.
Yeah.
He was okay.
And Aaron Rodgers went 22nd.
Yeah.
That's
slipped
wild.
and fell. And
It's wild.
did you guys discuss last week his decision not to attend the draft? Because I don't
Who?
want to. Shedeur.
I didn't even see that. No,
I didn't even see that.
Oh,
either,
okay. Yeah. Last week he said he's not going to attend the draft.
I
He
got
won't
no
be in
problem
Green
with
Bay.
players
I don't either.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that Joe Thomas didn't.
Yeah, sure.
He said, I'm going to either be in Dallas or Colorado around the people that propped me up and helped me get to that point.
Yeah, I'm
Now, to me, again, pro or con, that's a pro.
Yeah.
I don't need the $18,000 suit
Yeah.
and the bad tailoring of the suit and the crazy color
And the hug from the
and the
commissioner.
diamond buttons and the hug from the fake hug from the commissioner.
Yeah.
I don't need all that. That's all dog and pony
And,
stuff.
and Coach Prime already said, shout out to my man C.D. Lamb, there will be no people, there will be no honeys of any sort, no girlfriends, no hanger-ons talking about give me your phone. No, we're not going
He
to do
runs
that.
a tight ship.
It
Dion really
will-
runs a tight ship.
It will not be any honeys in mix like, yo, we're just friends. I think he's going to make him break up with all girls probably 2 months before the draft. It's just what
Probably
it
already
is.
happened.
It's already done.
All right, we're going to get back to the Cavs, but first, a big announcement, guys. We teased it before. UCSS is putting on its second annual comedy show. The date is set. The ticket link is live. I just pinned it in the chat. We will tweet it out and all the above. But on March 28th, it's a Friday night at 9:15/9:30. The UCSS gang is taking over Pickwick and Frolic on East 4th. We are raising money for the Greater Northeast Ohio Boys and Girls Club. So all your money goes to charity. Come out. Hang out with us. Let's have a blast. Here's some good jokes. We'll laugh at some terrible jokes, too. Boy, I know you're going to get up there. Gee, I expect you to do some stand-up. I'll get up there
that's
again.
awesome.
We'll see if we can drag Ann up again. But everyone, Dustin can't make it. But other than Dustin, I believe everyone else is set to make it that night. Friday,
There's no
March
chance
28th.
Anthony's getting up there, by the way. No chance.
We can bully Anthony into whatever we want.
No, I don't
to
wanna
do, so.
bully him.
No, I'm kidding. Anthony probably won't get back
Yeah.
up there again. But it's going to be a great night. Come out, come hang out with us. We hope to meet and see all you guys again. We had a great turnout the first time. We're hoping to double, maybe triple it in the second time around. It's also on a Friday night, not a Tuesday night like last time.
Yeah.
Is Polk going to be there?
Polk is hosting.
Awesome.
This is the it's really a Mike Polk show takeover by the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
okay.
So Mike is going to interweave us in and out of everything. Polk will also perform, so in case anyone buys a ticket expecting a real comedy show that night, they will get at least one real comedian up there.
I have
guarantee
fully
some laughs.
belief that I'm going to do a legitimate stand-up performance.
Are you real? Like
can't
write
wait,
jokes
yeah.
and everything?
Aaron and I are writing jokes as we speak.
Wow, that is really a
How
bold
many minutes?
move,
How many minutes we get per set?
As long as we want.
However we want.
I mean, you don't
I've
want to go
been
for too
told that
long.
5 feels like 20.
Yes.
I've never done it. I would
Yeah.
never do it. But I've been told
I did
that 5
8
feels,
minutes last time. I felt like I was on stage for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So-
I've been told about
Well, it's
comedy.
just like when I was working at the radio station, we did a contest for people that could try out to be on the air. And
Those
they had
always
to do
go-
like a minute.
Yeah.
And some of them couldn't even do a minute.
No. Yeah.
Because it
it's-
feels longer. So, yes, I'm not saying I could do a half an hour. I definitely cannot.
Are you going to
But
try
I'm
to
gonna-
like sneak in a set somewhere before that? Like go to
I
a
don't know
open mic
that-
night somewhere?
Who's gonna an open mic
Yeah, they
night?
have
I
open
guess
mic.
so.
No,
I
is
know
that hard
they
no?
have those, yes, but
Yeah.
no, Bull. You have to. I want this to be the debut.
Wow.
Whatever you do.
I will say, comedy is one of those things that,
Yeah.
My personal belief, you don't try it unless you know you're going to kill it. Because that is the one job that if you suck at,
Oh, God, yeah.
everybody in the room knows it, and you're going to hear about it.
Oh, yeah. And listen,
And
if
for
I suck,
Mike to
people
go
will
up
write
there
the boo me.
last year
Yeah.
and do what he did,
Yeah.
took onions, and you nailed it. Like you were legitimately funny.
I hope I'm better this time because I'm running it back. So we hope to see
Wow.
everyone there. The ticket link is live in the chat. We'll tweet it out. We'll remind you guys basically every day between
What's
now
what's
and the
the
28th.
size of that venue?
I don't
100, 200?
No, more than that. Definitely
It
more
is?
than that. Yeah, but we want to see everyone there.
Can't wait. It's
So,
going to be awesome. Come
yeah.
join us.
Can we pack it, do you think?
Yes.
Listen, I got some friends from the gym coming. Some of my basketball guys are coming. So we're going to have a nice little contingent.
All right.
We had a great UCSS showing, and when we did it the first time, we were just 8 months into the show.
It was 2 years ago. We didn't do one last
Yeah,
year.
that's
but
right. It was 2. God,
It was
feels like last year.
February
You're right.
of 23, so it'll be over
Mike,
2 years.
Why didn't
since
we
the
do it last
one.
year?
It just didn't work out. We
Yeah.
tried and dates
I think
didn't
Mike
work
met
out
his.
and stuff,
Didn't
so.
you meet your girlfriend there for the first time?
I did not meet her, but we had just started dating.
Oh,
we
you
just
started
started
dating, yeah.
talking. So
Yeah.
she'll be back.
Wow.
But yeah, March 28th, we hope to see you guys all there. All the money does go to charity, so
Yeah, it's
come
awesome.
laugh and help out with the good cause.
Can we pry into Mike's personal life for a second?
No, we got 2 topics. We got and then we can. But
Immediately
Well, wait, let's
topics.
at least take a vote.
Immediate topics, right?
Mike votes no. We cannot pry into his
Yeah,
personal life.
I won't pry since he doesn't want to
Okay.
do it. I'll leave
Gene?
him be.
I'm down for prying.
I'm always down for
Yeah.
prying.
I want to. If we don't get Guardians today, then we don't have you and Bull back on to get Guardians.
All right,
back
let's do
in.
Guardians over
We can
prying.
pry whenever we want,
Yeah.
but we want to get back to the
They're all
Cavs for 1
girlfriend
second.
related. I want to
Yeah,
know, like,
yeah.
is there a ring in the few?
Yeah, you got you.
See?
So, yeah.
You get
No,
Mike
we're
in
doing.
trouble here.
Me
Go
and
ahead.
Gabby are doing well. She's in
Yeah.
the chat.
Good.
If you ever see someone in the chat saying, "Is McNugget single?" It's probably my girlfriend. Just a heads up. I've got
Yeah.
a few people screenshot that and be like, "Do you know who this stalker is?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually my girlfriend."
Yeah.
So, shout out Gabby. She's
I like
working
that.
right now.
That's
But,
funny.
Peace, Gabby.
yeah, no, she's a winner.
She's a cool chick. You did well.
Thank you. The Cavs, back to the game on Friday, beat the brakes off the Knicks. I mean, an absolute demolition derby of the team that's currently sitting in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. When you look at the big picture in the Eastern Conference, guys, and Bull, you can lead us off on this one because you and I talked about this on the side. Is it a 2-team race? Is it Boston, Cleveland, and then everyone else? Or could there be a secret hidden threat to the Cavs in the Eastern Conference outside of just the Celtics?
I know that the Cavs have handled the Knicks very well, and if the Cavs did play the Knicks, which would probably be in the Eastern Conference Final, meaning the Knicks had upset the Celtics, then of course I got to take them seriously. I mean, they're going to win 50-plus games this year, maybe 55. So they're legit. Now, are the Cavs much better? I think they are. But I still would give the Knicks at least a puncher's chance of beating the Cavs in the series. And a puncher's chance is not 40%, but they're the only team besides the Celtics that I would give a legitimate chance to beat the Cavs. Again, not a high chance. It's only 2 games that they've played, and one of them was early in the season. I think if the Knicks are fully healthy in the playoffs, they could give the Cavs. I think the Cavs would win the series, but I think it would be a tough, hard-fought series, and the Knicks would be right there. So, no, I think the Cavs and Celtics are better, but I think the Knicks are a level above the rest of the teams in the East. And so I still think they're a legitimate contender, but certainly lower level than Cavs and Celtics.
Man, listen, the playoffs is like bullfighting, man. Everybody's a threat when you get in the ring. Everybody. Who cares what they talking about in the regular season? Just the other year ago, Indiana went to the Eastern Conference Finals. You talk about Milwaukee, they got 2 players that can go off and destroy a series with Dame Dollar and Giannis. You take a look at the Knicks. Cat, they got Brunson. They got guys. They got Bridges. Those guys, you forget. They've only been together for a little part of the year.
Still have Josh Hart.
They still got Josh Hart. They, OG is back. They got to get things, but you always got to take in consideration that's a very tough place to play. Anytime you got to go to Madison Square Garden, and then you put up any of those teams right there. None of those teams, and I would even put Orlando in that mix. Those teams are not afraid to go on the road and win no games, especially not the Celtics. The Celtics remind me of the old Cavs with their mentality. They've already won. They got guys that have been through the battles with Tatum and Brown. They have won some games, lost some games, won some series they weren't supposed to, and lost series they weren't supposed to. So all of these teams got bona fide guys that are on the U.S. team, all-stars, all-pros, all NBA guys. Yeah, I think the Cavs, and Donovan says this all the time, we have not won nothing. We got a nice record. That's cool. The Cavs are the least. Think about this. The Cavs on this list have won the least amongst all these teams. Milwaukee's won championships before. The Pacers have been to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks already done beat up on the Cavs in the playoffs. The Celtics are the defending champs. The Cavs got a nice record. But listen, that is only regular season. They proved nothing in the postseason, and they better be locked in for whoever they play all the way to the finals. Like they can't rest on nothing.
Yeah, I tend to look at this as it's a 2-horse race. It's the Cavs and the Celtics. However, I've been covering sports long enough to know that there are instances where Mine That Bird at a 50-1 long shot, the longest of long shots, wins the Kentucky Derby. It happens. I think this year
But I don't look at the Knicks as a 50-1 long shot.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you can't throw anyone out of the field.
Yeah.
Look at Detroit. I'm not picking Detroit to win a playoff series.
31-26.
Detroit is it's astounding what they're doing there.
Crazy. No,
with our guy.
Crazy.
JB's done an amazing job. And I bring them up to say this. They're a solid middle of the road NBA team. They're not a fluke. He's doing this the right way. Slow build. But we've talked about progressions in the NBA. The Cavs missed the playoffs 3 years ago, lost in the play-in game. 2 years ago, they made the playoffs, and they lost in the first round, despite having a better record, to the New York Knicks. Last year, they made it to the semifinals of the East before losing to the Boston Celtics. On that progression chart, they're supposed to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, particularly when you look at the fact that they have a 6-game lead over the 2 seed, the defending champion Celtics. I do look at this as a 2-horse race, but I'm not naive enough to say that somebody couldn't slip in and screw that up. They've done seedings for 1,000,000 years, 1 and 2. I don't know, Mike. I don't know if you can look this up quickly. How many years are the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals 1 versus 2? And how many years does a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or even a 6 slip in that mix and upset the apple cart?
Well, the Cavs with LeBron a couple times were not in the top 2.
Right. It happens.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it would be naive to say, well, the Celtics are the best team and the Cavs are the second best team, so they're going to go to the finals.
1 and 2 seeds predominantly, like significantly.
75%? Would you say?
So this is okay. Number 1 seeds have reached the finals 90 times, have a 58% win percentage in the finals. Number 2 seeds.
So the majority of the time, they close the deal.
Number 2 seeds have made the finals 39 times.
Ooh.
3 seeds, 16, 4th seed 5 times, 5th seed 2 times, 6th
so
seed 2 times.
So the big drop-off is at the 2 seed.
1 seeds and 2 seeds are significant. Yeah, 1 seed's the
One
most.
One seed's significantly better than 2's.
More, and then it's a gigantic drop-off.
So here's what I'll say. Let's hope that form holds true. If that form holds true,
yeah,
the Cavs win the East and play in the NBA championship.
I would bet, though, Mike, if you look this up, that not right now, but I think the lower seeds, not like 6 or 7, but I bet you that 3 and 4 have even 5 have gone to at least the conference finals way more often in the last 20 years than before that.
Yeah, I wasn't talking
because
about the
guys
NBA finals. I was talking about specifically Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. How often is it 1 versus 2?
Because veteran teams don't play in the regular season like they did back in the day.
Yeah,
so
recently you're right.
You're more likely, I think, to get a 3 or 4 seed now, at least in the conference finals.
Well, look at last year.
Than you were in past years.
What was Indy last year? 4?
Indy last year was the 6th seed. I'm sorry, I'm looking into more of this deeper.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 seeds have made up 97.4% of NBA champions.
Yeah, look at the or the conference championships, though.
Conference championships.
Yeah, it's like last year.
Just in the East, the last few
Pacers
years.
As a 6 snuck in there.
I mean,
that's why I brought up the Pistons.
The Heat in 2023 went to the finals.
Yes,
They were 8.
yes, they did as the 8. I think that's the first time
the
that's ever happened.
Mavericks were a 5 seed last year, too.
So I bring all that up to say, yeah, I mean, if you're betting odds, you're going to take the 1s and the 2s. But mind that bird winning the Kentucky Derby. No one saw it coming. Like, it wasn't even a 1, 2, 3, or 4. It was the last pick in the race, and it won. So if you're in the playoffs, you have a chance. And what scares me about, not scares me, but what would be interesting to watch about the Pistons this year is sometimes you hear this saying a lot. They're too dumb to know they're not supposed to be here.
I think that was what I was going to say is if I'm looking at the Cavs, I want them to win it this year before it sets in. I want them to win before because the pressure ratchets it up. Like if you get to the wherever you're going to get, and say for instance they play the Celtics in the finals and they got the Celtics down 3-1. But then they let the Celtics come back and you feel like they let it slip. And then next year, you go into next year and it's like, okay, this year 2 Atkinson, couple guys take a step back. Here's an injury there, or here's an injury here.
Yeah.
Now you're looking around. You're like, okay, well, we didn't win it this year. For me, I would rather them get the Denver Nuggets out of the like the Nuggets, like they were playing at a level. Jamal Murray was balling. Porter was great. Caldwell Pope played out of his mind, and they won the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver never won a championship again for the next 5 or 6 years, right?
Right.
Like, this is the way it is. So
Get it when you can
get
get
it
it.
while you get it. Like, and I hope the Cavs can catch a couple people slipping and get to a point where it's like, at least we got that out the way.
Yeah, I'm for that. But, 1s and 2s aren't rubber stamped
Nope.
every year.
And I don't like, and Jason Lloyd says it. Milwaukee, man, look.
They're lurking.
Giannis is Giannis. And Dame, we've seen him send people home from half court. We've seen it. I'm not so much worried about the Pacers a little bit. Now, now if you ask me which team would you love to see, I would love to catch the Knicks in one of these in the finals, except for the Celtics. That's the point I'm trying to figure out.
Oh well, yeah, because then the behemoth is gone.
Can the Celtics? What's the toughest path the Celtics could go through that we can hope for?
Well, they're probably going to play the Knicks in the second
Right
round.
now, it will be the Knicks if that holds.
I'll
we
take
would
it.
get
we
the
have to hope
Pacers.
for, G, to put the Celtics through hell.
Yeah, I like
Yep.
Is that
7-game
Miami?
series that draws blood.
that. Yeah.
All right, so we need Orlando to get the 6th seed and Miami to somehow be the 7th seed and win that first play-in game, because Miami always gives Boston.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
Spo curse. Now, it's not the same Miami team.
Because it ain't got
They
buckets.
don't have Jimmy Butler. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Miami's not going out without a fight. They take Boston a 6 or 7. Boston has to play the Knicks in the second round. Those two teams beat each other up.
Yeah, they can
and
get
the
a pound of
Cavs-
flesh out of Boston. if
By
that's
the way,
path.
in the Eastern Conference, last year, obviously, the Celtics were the top seed. They went and won the championship. The 4 years before that, the number 1 seed in the East did not go to the finals. It
Wow.
was the Miami Heat were 8. Boston the year before was a 2 seed. Milwaukee, when they won the championship, was a 3 seed. And then Miami again in the COVID year, I think, was the
Yeah.
5 seed.
That was the bubble.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
4 years in a row, and in fact, 3 of the last 5 Eastern Conference or NBA championship team from the East was a 3rd seed or lower.
That's interesting.
3 of the last 5.
All right, we talked about the Guardians. Let's do a little Guardians. Bull, you're back with an Ultimate Guardian show Wednesday, 9 a.m., correct?
Time may change. We'll get back to you on the exact time, but it will be Wednesday.
All right, so check out Zach and Bull Wednesday morning for your
Yeah.
weekly Ultimate Guardians. First one of the spring training season. That will be a must-see appointment television.
Did anybody watch the
on
games
Wednesday
this
morning.
weekend?
No.
Were they on? I couldn't find them.
I did not watch them this weekend.
I tried to find them. I couldn't.
I saw some highlights.
I don't think
but
they're
not
on.
I
the
saw
games.
highlights, but
Yeah.
I
That's
saw
why
something.
Yeah, my dad called me for that. He was like, hey,
They don't even have a TV
Yeah,
channel
yeah.
set yet. What channel? Now
No.
you can stream it
Yeah.
if you pay for the
Matt
package.
Underwood was here Friday and said, "We'll let you know when we know."
Right. So that's not. I don't know how many games they're doing spring training.
Usually they do a handful, 1 or 2.
I think teams are doing less. I mean, even the Cubs, who have a big market, and they weren't on.
Is Bally's completely out of the mix?
It's FanDuel. Bally's doesn't exist anymore, and I
Yeah.
think they're completely out of the mix.
Yeah, I know it doesn't exist.
But there are going to be on a TV channel, I assume.
Well, they have to. Yeah.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
point.
We just don't know what.
Full.
So,
And
yeah.
and there's going to be a cable, a DirecTV.
Right, yeah.
And an over-the-air,
Yeah,
which I
right.
think this year is going to be a significant number of games.
Could be, yeah.
Which would
makes
be a
sense.
win for
yeah.
fans.
Bull, you had texted me this over the weekend, but
Yeah.
the Guardians got a B from The Athletic for their overall offseason, and you said, I actually don't agree with that.
Yeah,
So what
no.
grade would you give the Guardians for their offseason, and why do you disagree with the B grade, The Athletic?
Because B means they had a good offseason. As we know,
They didn't.
what the Guardians do is they have a bad offseason, and then usually they have a good season. But I'm not giving them credit. Like, I still think they're good, and I've been thinking about my predictions for weeks, and whether anybody cares or not, I'm still not ready to make a decision. I'll admit, like Joel Bitonio, I'm leaning in a direction, but I will say what it is. I'm leaning towards picking the Guardians to win the division, but I think it's very competitive, and I'm not totally sure yet. But just judging them on their offseason, how do I give them a B?
Yeah.
I gave them a C minus,
Did
and
you
I think
read
I'm
the
being
Athletic
generous.
piece?
What's that?
Did you read the piece? I didn't read it.
Yeah, I read it
just
last
saw
week,
the
though. I
grade.
can't remember exactly what they
Because
said. But
there's only one way I'm giving them a B.
yeah.
If you're factoring in long-term health of the franchise. If you're just giving a grade, and this is the way I grade.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't have a B either. If you're just giving a grade on one thing, season to season, did they make the moves necessary to make a deeper run in the playoffs? How do you give them a B?
No, and even with the
but
even the
fiscally,
long-term
they did
health,
some responsible
but
things.
Jay, I don't know. I think it's irresponsible what they did, cutting the payroll again.
Because Bull, you're living in the world that they should spend more money.
Yes.
I'm living in the reality of the fact that they're not.
Well, but their payroll shouldn't be going down.
No, it should never go down.
As of now, it's gone down.
It has gone down. You're right.
And there's no excuse for that. This idea that we're going to cheer them for getting rid of a bad contract that they signed is ridiculous. So
I agree with that. And on the premise, Bull, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is because you grew up in New York, not that you were a Yankees or Mets fan, you weren't. But the baseball fans that I know that are Yankees fans or grew up in the metro area, look at what Cleveland does exactly how you do. It makes them vomit. They're like, that's disgusting. You guys aren't even a major league team. I grew up here.
Yeah.
I see how they operate, and I do understand the finances of baseball.
Why did they have to cut?
Well, I think what they're doing is,
it's the same.
I think what they're doing is, when they make a move, and this is the problem. This is because there's no floor and there's no ceiling. When they make a move, they think completely different than 20 of the other franchises do. When 20 of the major league teams, I think there's 15 to 20 major league teams, they operate like major league teams. When they make trades, they live in common sense world. How can we make our team better? This player for that player. Unfortunately, the Guardians live in an alternative universe where they can say, we can make the health of our franchise better if we dump these big contracts because the players aren't living up to them, or he's going to be a free agent next year and we have 0% chance of signing him. Now, I hate that reality, Bull. I hate it as much as you do. Trust me, I'm a fan of this team. So I think I hate it even more than you do. And I'm not cutting them any slack. I just know that that's the world they live in, and that's the expectations that fans have grown to have for this team. It sucks.
But
that's where we are.
Here's the thing, Jay. In the 90s, and even into the into the late 2010s, the Guardians' payroll would kind of go up and down.
It ebbed and flowed.
It never got too high.
Right.
But there were years where they had a reasonable competitive payroll.
They did.
And I was okay with the years where it went down because I understand they can't have a consistently higher payroll.
They had a window.
But since COVID, and I think they've used COVID and the TV contracts as an excuse to some degree. Obviously, there's some reality there, but there's also some excuse. They have consistently not spent.
Right. Now.
And that's unacceptable.
So I agree with you. They have, and it is unacceptable. And that's why I'm hoping that the Blitzer Group takes over sooner than later.
Yes.
It's scheduled to happen in a few years. You're absolutely right. It's pinned to COVID. I haven't read any concrete reporting on this. I've just heard whispers of these things. I've talked about it on the show before. The commissioner has always told all of the franchises, you need a rainy day fund, okay? You need an emergency fund because we don't know they didn't write down in this doctrine we could have a pandemic.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that all responsible businesses were planning for. Wimbledon famously had pandemic insurance and didn't lose a nickel in the years where they couldn't stage their event normally. I'm told, and again, no concrete reporting, I've just heard whispers that of all of the teams, the Guardians had likely, if not the smallest, amongst the smallest of these emergency funds. And when teams were dipping into that for operating costs because they lost their gates and the TV ratings were down, it decimated the teams, the have-nots. It decimated them because I think we're dealing with the team, Bull, and maybe one day we'll find out, and maybe I'm overstating it. I don't know. I think we're dealing with a team that is so cash poor that they have no choice but to make those moves.
Then if that's true, they should have sold the team, and it's unfair to the fans that they haven't.
Completely co-sign
that. If that's
that.
true.
Listen, Bull, I will make no excuses for the Dolans on any of this. I think that's why ultimately he sold the team.
He don't.
Unfortunately, he was on the 7-year plan, and I'm going to give a little bit up and a little bit up. Who suffers in that? We do.
The Naylor move, I know you were not going to get anything from him. You guys have been saying that for 4 or 5 years. But at least they could have let it ride out.
Well, then you get nothing, though. If he hits free agency, you're done.
Really,
and that's why I say
they brought Carlos Santana. If you say let him walk in a couple years, that's fine. If he walks for nothing, you still have guys that are going to play. Menzardo's going to play first base anyway. You have guys that will step in.
So how do you get to a B? Yeah. I think this is one of the ways you get to a B. Now, I don't know how sustainable Carlos Santana's numbers were last year. He's 39. But if you compare Carlos Santana's offense to Josh Naylor's offense, Josh Naylor was more productive for sure. But there's not this colossal drop-off. And it's a one-year bridge, and I think they're doing the math saying we're not interested in him long-term. He's a defensive liability. We're not interested in him long-term, so we're not going to sign him to a long-term contract. So that's where these organizations that are in the have-nots have to say, so what can we get for him?
Well, what I would say is, yes, I get what they're saying. And if the guys they got turn out to be great players, it was worth it.
Right.
But they didn't get any sure things.
They did not.
This Slade Ciccone, he was a good prospect. He was a high draft pick. He's played a little in the majors. He's been terrible.
Right.
It's not enough of a sample size.
Manzardo, in fairness, his first trip up was terrible.
It was, but then his second trip up looked good.
Well,
okay?
maybe.
And Ciccone's already had 2 trips up. But I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying, I would have let it ride with Naylor because I think on this team, he was clearly their second best player. And to me, there is a pretty decent drop-off between him and Santana.
It's significant.
I think it is. It's not uncrossable, but it's a significant drop-off. Now, you could sell me all you want on Carlos Santana being a better defender than Naylor, which is fine.
Yeah.
And it's true. But if it were that important, then you wouldn't have traded Jimenez if you were that obsessed with defense.
Right.
So especially when you're already weak over there.
Right. You've gotten better at first, but you got worse at second. Yeah. So their lineup, listen, I don't know where they've gotten better, okay? Their lineup's not better.
No, their lineup is definitively not better.
The defense is not better.
Their starting pitching could be better.
Yeah.
But the only short thing that they've acquired in the offseason, or short thing in terms of he's going to be in the rotation,
commodity,
is Luis Ortiz.
You're right.
And he hasn't proven enough. I like him. And
is he a front of the rotation guy?
No.
I don't think he is. I think
major
he's an arm.
thing from this weekend to keep an eye on, Tristan McKenzie's velocity was way up.
Yeah, I'm
That's
glad
a
you
major
brought that up,
positive.
'cause I didn't get to see him, but I was looking at the velocity and I said, okay, well, why did he have his decline?
Yeah.
Velocity. Why did it decline? Bad arm.
Yeah.
Now, I still think there's going to be arm issues. I think
100%.
Down the road we're going to have this same conversation again,
Yes.
and it ultimately is going to lead to where we all know it's going to lead.
That's right.
But the fact that his velocity was way up, and he looked good. Now, it was just, we faced 7 hitters, I think.
Right.
But that's what jumped off the chart for me this weekend.
94.6 average fastball.
That's where he has to be.
That was faster than he was throwing when he was pitching well. Because he was averaging 93 something, high 93s.
Yes.
Last year was like 91.
90s.
And that might not
Low
sound
90s.
if you're not a big baseball fan, the difference between 91 and 94 might not sound like a lot.
91 is
Get
but
in
it
and try
is.
it, yeah.
Yes, you
Get
know,
in and try
certainly.
it, yeah.
That's a huge difference, and that's a positive. But I'm not convinced that their rotation is going to be better. We don't know when Bieber is going to pitch.
Right.
We don't know when, if at all, Means is going to pitch.
Means is a big question mark.
We don't know. So there's potential to be better there. The bullpen, I'll call it a wash. I do think Seawald's a good addition.
But you lost some guys.
You lost some guys. And the idea that all the guys that were elite last year are going to be just as good is hard to believe.
Yeah. I think this division allows them to do what they do every year, because they can take away and strip down stuff and still be competitive. They were in the American League East. I don't think they would be. I don't think they wouldn't be afforded the opportunity because the fans would be stark. You would see it
because in the East there's a lot of teams with high payrolls.
Yes.
In the Central there isn't.
Yeah. So
and the geographic, and I like it that way because the coastal advantages the population centers because they have higher local TV ratings, can spend more money.
Yeah.
We're in with Kansas City, Detroit. That's who we should be in with.
Yeah.
These kind of Midwest, small to mid-sized markets. It
there
works
is
out.
Chicago, but they don't act like a Chicago team.
It's the second team.
Yeah, right.
And it's the South Side.
Right.
Yeah, so we know what goes on.
And they're terrible. But Yeah.
But I'm with you. On the surface, when I saw B,
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the world can you justify
No.
a B? You lost the entire right side of your infield, which was not just, I don't think he was just the best second baseman. I think he's one of the best defenders in the game.
That is correct.
And the best infielder.
That is correct.
And Naylor was a bad defender. You know, although he made strides and did improve, there were still times where
bad defender.
There were too many balls he can't get
But
to.
he gave me 30. He gave me 30.
Again,
we need
like,
30.
No, he did.
Last year, your best hitter is Jose, right? Your second best hitter was Naylor. He's gone.
Yeah.
Your third best hitter is Quan. Okay, you got him.
Quan
homered.
homered.
Your fourth best hitter was Fry. He's going to miss half the season.
Where's the power? Where's
And
the
so,
power?
you know, Carlos Santana.
Well, Manzardo could come around and
I
provide
like-
some
yes.
power.
we need him to
And
have
listen,
everything. he's
it's
supposed to
possible by August you have. I'll be optimistic. You have Manzardo, DeLauder, and Bazzana all in the lineup at all. And maybe they're all playing well.
Now, if that's
get.
the case,
No.
But that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I get that.
you know.
I heard DeLauder and Manzardo for 5 years. You tell me Bazzano's gonna be up with them two the rest of the year? Stop.
Well, second base is a question mark, so there's an opening for him.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
There's an opening for Bazzana, and there's an opening for DeLauder in right field.
I'm all for it because I don't know who I'm going to the ballpark to see. I need to see some young guys.
Well, we love Quan. If Quan stays healthy, he's a fun watch. Jose is the single, to me, it's the single most exciting player in the game in the American League.
I just asked, who's their third best hitter? Is it Carlos Santana?
Might be.
Is it Lane Thomas?
Might be.
Kenzie Noel, baby.
Hey, Quan.
Big Christmas.
Quan is already
sleep on him.
Quan is already getting looked at by the Mariners, all the West Coast teams.
Well, yeah.
The Angels.
I'm afraid that his days in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
are short.
I'll say this though.
Yeah.
First of all, I said this before with Josh Naylor that he was not going to get a big contract. He's not getting a big contract. Even if he has a good year, he's not going to get a big
Define
contract.
big contract.
Like he's not the best he's getting is first of all, nobody's going to want to give him a long-term deal because of his body size and his injury history. And he's a one-dimensional player. Now he's excellent at that dimension.
Well, his
power.
injury history, he broke a leg in a freak outfield
Right, but he's
accident.
missed games almost every year. If you look at it, he misses a chunk of games every year.
I don't remember
he's
him
getting
being
it,
really
you know,
hurt.
and his body type doesn't lend well to playing well.
Now
into
that
the
I'll
30s.
agree.
Angels
He
got some
can't run the
bread.
bases. He can't defend.
Boston
you
got
know.
bread. He's going to get.
See, I think he will get a big contract.
He's gonna
But
get
our
one.
definition of big contract
like
might
what?
be
What do you
different.
think
Cole's
is
right. Last year was the only season he's played a majority. He missed 40 games in 23, 40 games in 22, and then before that, he was never a full-time player.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think in
What do you
22
think
he
he's
broke the
gonna get?
leg, and that carried over into 23.
No, he played 122 games in 22. He broke his leg in 21.
Oh, was it 21? How many games did he play in 21?
Is 19 billion a lot?
Hold on.
See, here's the difference.
Yeah.
I heard two things.
Big contract has two different definitions.
Okay.
For Cleveland, $20 million a year is a big contract.
That's a
I don't
big
think Naylor's
contract.
getting $20 million.
And they're not going to give it to him. I think someone will give Josh Naylor. I think he'll get
Quan's not getting $20
I could
million
be
a year.
wrong. You might laugh me right off the set. I think there will be a team, because there always seems to be, that will prioritize what Naylor brings, and he'll get in the ballpark of 3 years, 50 to 60 million. And that's just not what the Guardians aren't going to do that for him.
Maybe.
The Guardians won't do that for him. And
no,
I think
they won't. And they shouldn't.
I agree.
But I 3 for 50 I could see.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would even push.
Nobody's
3
giving
for
him more than
60.
3 years.
I mean, he's a home run hitter.
The thing with Quan is singles hitters don't get paid.
No, they don't.
They don't get
Typically,
paid.
they do not. They're
So,
undervalued.
now he had a little more-
But add in the fact that he's a great base runner and a
And
Gold
a
Glove
glover.
outfielder.
Yes.
And you start
Right, but he's not going to get crazy money. Is what
No,
I'm
he's
saying.
not. But he's going to get paid.
He's a top 5 leadoff hitter.
I could see
Is he not?
Quan getting
Yes. Yes.
now Quan will get a longer term deal because he's going to be younger and he's not overweight and stuff
Right.
like that.
Somebody
I
take
could see
him.
Quan getting a 5 for 75.
I
There
can
it
totally
is.
see
There
that.
it is.
I
Like
can totally
that.
see
That's big. That's
Now,
yeah.
here's what I can promise you. The Dolans would not do that deal.
At all.
The Blitzers might. Blitzer might do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and you know Quan was swinging extra hard at the end of the year. You know
Well, yes, he was.
He was swinging that home run swing.
well, we saw
Yeah.
his average go from near 400 down to below 300.
if he hit 16, 17 home runs, he exponentially gets an
If
extra
he
bag.
could get into the 20s in home runs,
Oh, now we're talking a different stratosphere.
and then he's Michael Brantley.
Yes, he is
Yes.
Michael
You know,
Brantley. You're
I mean,
right. If he can hit 280
Yeah.
and get 20 home runs
And
with
have the
his
glove,
stolen bases,
and-
his extra base hits, and his Gold Glove, You're right, he's Michael
Yeah,
Bradley.
He played for one
and
of
he's
the- he
better
played
than
for New York,
Brantley
one of New
defensively,
York.
obviously.
New York,
Yeah,
one of them New York
he's
teams will
solid,
give him a little bread. Boston will give him some bread. Somebody, Orioles will give him some money.
Yeah,
Like that.
the Orioles, they're not really spending. They don't spend like those other
giving
teams,
the
but-
Guardians a B for what they did, I
No.
think is kind.
Because to your initial point, I don't buy that they're giving them that because of the fiscal responsibility.
I don't know because I didn't read the article.
Yeah,
so
I
can't
did,
say.
but I can't remember them saying anything like that.
then
I
they
think that was
probably
stood
didn't.
out. So
Yeah,
I don't see it.
On
And I
the
like
surface,
some of
it's
the
not a
guys.
big-
Like I like Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
Slade Ciccone has potential. There's no doubt. And they just, obviously they signed Means for 2 years, and he's a guy when healthy.
first
He's
year's
always been
probably
really
a
good.
roll.
So you picking them to win a division? What you doing?
I'm
Well,
not
I
ready
haven't
yet.
decided.
I'm not there yet.
Listen,
I want to.
to Bull's point,
right.
I feel like I have all of my other division winners, not in stone, but I feel pretty
Yeah.
confident in those picks.
Yeah.
I have gone back to this 3 different times, and I've picked 3 different teams. I can easily see Detroit winning the division. I can easily see Kansas City winning the division. With a little less confidence, I can see the Guardians winning the division. Now, the Twins, I think, would be the biggest stretch. Obviously, the White Sox they're going to lose 100 games.
Yeah.
But I think in this order right now, I would go, if I had to, and I'm not done, I would go Kansas City, Detroit, Cleveland, with maybe 2 or 3 games separating those 3 teams.
Yeah, I've got Detroit third. I'm not as a
Really?
believer in Detroit. I think what they
But
did.
you have Kansas City or Cleveland first.
Yes, I'm back. I'm not ready yet.
So you would, if
I'm
you
going
pick
back and
Kansas
forth
City,
between
you would put Kansas City in third.
No. I'm one. Kansas City and Cleveland. I got 1-2. I just
Okay.
haven't decided
Yeah.
which order yet.
Yeah.
I think Detroit they played so great at the end of the year,
But not just the end of the year, going back to July. They turned the switch.
Well,
They flipped the switch
but
in July, and
they played a certain way where they used the bullpen so much
They
down the
did.
stretch, and
They
I
did.
just don't think they can win that
But
way.
are-
And I think their lineup, like for all the flaws that the Guardians have in their lineup, I think the Tigers have more.
I would agree with that. They do have flaws in their lineup.
Yeah.
Kansas City's got the best lineup.
They-
Best everyday starting.
Yeah, I still don't love the back end of their lineup, but their top 4 or 5 is really
I
good.
would trade ours for theirs
and
right now.
They got, like the Guardians with Bazzana, they drafted Jack Caglione.
They've got a good young,
who could be in the big
I know we
leagues
got to
this year.
go because we're past 1 o'clock.
Oh.
I'll just say this about the Tigers. The reason I have them in the mix is because I watched Scooble last year on the biggest stage
Yeah.
stare one of the most difficult situations in the face. And I know he lost Game 5 and gave up the home run, and there was a point where they probably stayed with him too long, and then they kept him in there after that, and he settled down. This dude is him. He's that good.
That's 100% true. If you asked me before we were talking about upside, if you asked me which team has the most upside, I'm going to tell you Detroit.
Okay.
I just think they have more questions overall
That's fair.
than the Guardians and Royals.
That's fair.
I think they got a higher upside than the Guardians and Royals. I think they got a bigger downside.
Yeah, I like that
They have
because-
so much talent in their pitching staff, but a lot of it's unproven or
in the
minimum
playoffs,
proven.
what
McNuggets,
wins
you
in the
trip.
playoffs?
Yeah,
Pitching.
sure.
And
Right.
if you've got Scooble in a 7-game series and can throw him 3 times,
Yeah.
good luck.
Makes it
You can't
dangerous.
have Bull and Jay on here during spring training, and the last segment is Guardians.
We're gonna
Yeah.
Listen, they wanted to pry into my personal life, and I told them
We're going to end the show, and Bull and I are going to be here till 4 o'clock.
I know.
talking baseball.
We got some super chats. Obviously, no overtime because we went long, but great show. Actually, I can't believe it's 106. Today flew by.
107.
107.
We don't do
107.
shows together no more. Well, us three.
Yeah.
I know, we don't. We really don't.
First super chat comes from Rumple
OG3.
Foreskin, who says,
What's his name?
Rumple
OG.
Foreskin. Who says, that's a great, that's a funny name.
That's great.
Says the behind the back dunk from Mobley on Friday.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we mentioned
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We haven't.
That was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Incredible.
Great.
That
His
was-
hands.
that
This
was
is like
so
a little
awesome.
nuanced thing. His hands are so quick getting
Yeah.
to loose balls. And I know he's not the fastest and not the biggest guy. He may have the best reaction of
Is
anything
he
I've seen in
left-handed?
person.
Yeah, he is quick.
He's not left-handed,
But-
G,
but
but
he
he
can
likes
use
to
it.
drive and likes to finish left more than he likes to go right.
That's
can
kind
use
of
it.
Mike, I got 2 quickies after you're done with your super chat before we go.
All right. Our guy Halim says you guys went off on Berry, but he gets some runway because he made the playoffs 2 out of 4 years. Also, the 2023
2 out
offseason
of 5.
acquisitions
Not with his
led to
talent.
a top 3 defense in the league.
No, we're stripping him.
See-
We've already stripped him of the COVID year. You see what we've done? That's stripped.
and I can't even give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Those weren't his players.
Here's the problem. That we have too many fans that feel like winning 1 playoff game in 5 years
Buys
and
you-
making it twice
buys you-
in 5 years,
No.
That's
like that's some
crazy.
great accomplishment. That's not.
And
It's better than what you had before. Fine.
Right.
I would
But
respect-
most of the players that contributed to that were not drafted by Andrew
I
Bennett.
would respected it if this year they would have won 8 games. I could have said
the three wins
Yeah.
that should never happen
that
after
shouldn't
a
happen
playoff
no more.
year.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
You can't go -8 in
Yeah.
a year.
That's-
You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Three of the last 4 years, they're under 500, and they've not won a playoff.
You can't have the number 2
So,
pick.
come on.
You just can't have the 2. Like, I can't believe
Come
that.
on, that's
All
Stockholm
right,
syndrome
next
stuff.
super chat comes from our guy Eddie, who says Andrew Berry is the David Njoku of GMs. Takes 8 years to be good.
Well, that wouldn't be a lie.
Yeah, but at least
Joku had it knocked it out of the park for 1 year with Joe Flacco, and
he's
then
right
had a
back.
regression.
He's coming out these
Yeah.
cuts kind of slow.
Boss Crow, who I hope I pronounced that right. I think I get it wrong every time. Says UCSS is the best Cavs coverage in Cleveland.
That's
Thank
true.
you guys. We appreciate you guys. Tanya says I'm an Ohio native but an Arizona resident for about 20 years now. I still only follow and support Ohio teams. I watch UCSS daily for 2 years now. Love you guys. Any chance we'll ever see you for a spring training game out here in Arizona?
Hey,
I went every year, but
Are you
we
going
didn't,
this
we
year or
didn't
no?
go this year. No,
No.
I went to Daytona.
I would love
last
to
week.
go. I may try to go next year.
Why don't we take a show out there?
That would be awesome.
that'd be fun.
Maybe next year. Not this year,
We
unfortunately.
start selling some stuff, and I think that could be a
Yeah,
possibility.
yeah.
We could do a whole week UCSS
That'd be
in
amazing.
Arizona, sponsored by insert company here.
We
So-
did.
Well,
Dustin,
how about sponsored by the state of Arizona?
Yeah.
Right.
Dustin and I did the radio show there. There was 3 years that we went and did it for a week, and we had
Yeah.
such a great time.
Oh,
We
it's awesome.
Interviewed almost every player. It was a
Nothing
lot
like
of fun,
spring
yeah.
training. The access,
Yeah.
the games are even fun. I know because I like to look at some of those lesser
Sure.
prospects and
It's
see what
relaxed.
they
It's a
have.
much more relaxed atmosphere.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
great.
my cousin sent me a picture. He was at the game yesterday. He lives out there.
Yeah, you get to see
And-
the airplane graveyard in Goodyear.
It really is. That is a
Creepy.
It's
That is-
macabre.
Wow.
It's
yeah,
almost
it's like a
macabre.
set from Walking Dead.
They take airplanes there to paint them.
Yeah.
And they're from, they're a lot of times they've already been stripped of the
Yeah,
logos,
yeah.
but they're lined up 30 or 40 of them on
Yeah.
runways.
Shout out to
That's
Jay,
cool.
man. White people got cousins now. I like that, man.
Oh, bro, hey, listen, I'm half white.
Yeah, listen. He was
I'm
like,
Italian.
You got a lot of cousins. Yeah,
The
Italian people.
family on my Italian side
Oh, they-
will make a run for your family reunion money.
And will pull up too. They will and be like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm with you for about 3 weeks.
we got 3 more. Let's get through
with
these.
1 day notice.
Yeah.
Salvatore
Went away.
216 says Ty Jerome's floater should be called the Ty Drop.
That's all right.
I kind of like that.
I like
Kenny
that.
Atkinson said we need to give Ty a nickname for his floater. He was asked about it last night. He said,
Yeah.
don't do that. So I'm going to
right.
respect
Don't
Ty
do that.
Jerome. He doesn't want a nickname for the floater.
doesn't want
I
it.
appreciate. I actually don't dislike the Ty Drop.
I like
but
Ty Drop.
I'm gonna respect Ty's wishes.
I've
No-
never.
no
By the way,
nickname.
McNuggets, I got to give him credit. I've never seen a pool like this in my life. The fact that Earl predestined
Yeah.
Ty Jerome is the craziest
Yeah.
thing I've
I
ever
know.
heard in my
he
life.
was a
But
whole
if
year
you throw
early,
enough darts in a dark room,
Yeah.
you're going to hit a bullseye eventually.
I mean, he just had to be. Listen, that was a stupid.
But this is even. This is
Yeah.
better.
By
than
the way,
even
Rocket
Earl could
Arena is
imagine.
terrible.
You don't like the
Yes.
name?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Next one from
Yeah.
Salvatore says Linsanity was 2012, not 2008.
Yeah, it was later. I thought we had it a little early.
Damn.
It was 12, though?
So I was college then. Yeah, it was early.
God,
college,
I don't
guess.
remember it being 12. I would have said either 10 or 11, but I thought 7 or 8 was early.
I'm going. I think Becker actually
Damn.
texted us that it was the 2011-2012 season, so maybe
Okay.
somewhere in there. And last one comes from Craps Teacher, who says, "What's the over/under of the Guardians win total?" I looked it up on FanDuel as of this morning.
Don't tell me. Let's guess.
Okay.
I would say, and I haven't looked, I would say that the over-under on their win total would be 89.
87.5.
83.5.
Ooh, wow.
Ball's the closest, and all three of you guys are too high. 82.5.
I would take the over. 82.
I would take the over on
Because
that.
they're basically telling you they're a 500 team. They're better than that.
Yeah.
Tigers
the
are-
division is tough.
Yeah.
The Tigers 83.5.
Ooh.
Same.
The Royals 82.5.
So they've got them the way
They
I
got
have
the
them.
Tigers,
and the
yeah.
Twins
They've got them
83.
Royals, Tigers, Guardians.
I think.
No, they got the Twins second with
I
83.
think the
Twins
Twins.
83.5.
Twins is sleeper in the division. Twins is coming either first or second.
You know what would be funny? The last couple of years, Twins have been overrated. They said,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
here come the Twins, here come the Twins. This might be the year where they kind of slide under the radar
Well,
and win the division.
As G. Bush is the Byron Buxton of UCSS.
Yes.
Yeah, he said that Friday and made me
Yeah.
spit out my drink. Because that's kind of funny. When he's here, he's going to wreck shit.
Right.
But We got to get him here.
Yeah, you got to listen.
The Twins have a bunch of guys like that.
It all depends.
What was your Friday? Was it tooth related?
Yeah. I had I had just an infection. Yeah, I woke up. I was like, man, I got ear infection. My ear hurt. And it was like kind of weird, but it was like, there was like no, and I thought it was a cavity, and I was like, I went in, they were like, because I've never had a cavity before. And
Ever?
Nah.
Crazy.
Ever.
My mom hasn't.
I have never had a
That's wild.
cavity.
She's 85.
That's amazing.
Last thing to wrap it up here. We've
Yeah.
already had a couple guys send us some receipts of the comedy show tickets, so shout out to
Beautiful.
you.
Oh, nice.
We
We're
love
gonna
you all.
talk back in
Come
this.
join us. Mike, I got 2 quickies.
Oh, yeah. I got one quickie before you go.
This
down.
is
Last two
overtime,
quickies.
right? This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, this is
Yeah, yeah.
overtime. I met a guy at the Cavs arena, or 2 guys this weekend. One from Florida, watches every day.
Yeah.
Came up, asked to take a picture. Nice
That's
guy.
awesome.
I also met a guy, G, from the Philippines.
What?
Who watches the UCSS
I
every
told
day.
you. I'm
huge in the
So,
Philippines.
Blowing up
Huge
there.
in the Philippines.
We are probably the biggest Cleveland show in the Philippines.
Shout out to
Huge.
Rose Bush.
Yeah, shout out
Rose Bush family.
Yeah,
In-
all
in-
them. Listen, we got the whole 12 brothers and sisters. I got crazy in-laws.
So
But,
shout out to
yeah.
them, and keep sending us
Nice.
your receipts for the comedy show. We appreciate you. And anyone asked about the Ty Jerome contract, our good friend Bob Schmidt of the Fear the Throw podcast did a video breaking down all like the contractual stuff. So you want to get to the minutia,
That's crazy.
how you can re-sign Ty Jerome, what you
This
can
is
pay him, what you
wild.
can't.
Yeah.
Go check out Bob Schmidt, Fear the Throw podcast. Does a great job. We can link the video. He's come on UCSS on the Cav show before. Really good guy, but did a really in-depth video on that. So if you have questions and you want to know like the exact details to the dollar
shout out.
amount, go check out Bob. Bull, your 2 quickies.
Yeah, a couple quickies. Shout out to Mark at Northeast Factory Direct.
What up, Mark?
What up, dog?
We went in there, my wife wanted to get some new chairs for our living room. We've done all this work to our house. We're moving back into our house finally this weekend.
What a
Can't wait
this
after
weekend?
5 months. Yeah, this
That's
got to
be like Christmas.
I can't wait to get back into our
Have
house.
you seen it yet? Or are you going to do a reveal?
Yeah, no, we've seen it.
Okay.
They're doing some still finishing touches.
You got no
but
YouTube
can't
channel? You supposed to have that
wait. No. But shout out to Mark.
Nah.
Made us a great deal, took great care of us at Northeast Factory Direct. And one other thing, I know most of the fans don't care, but give me a minute to just be personal. I mentioned it before. I am having so much fun watching St. John's play basketball. And if you like old school basketball,
That's what they're getting.
Watch St. John's play. Now, they're the type of team, as they were ranked 10th. I don't know what they were when the rankings came out today.
I think they're in the top 10.
Well, they were 10 coming into this week, so they got to move up because they
Yeah.
crushed UConn yesterday, dominated
15
them.
points, something like that.
They're a team, though, that, like, I'm going to admit, they could lose in the first round,
Yeah. Or
and they
make a
could
run.
win it all.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 things they're not great at. One is shooting threes,
Which is hard to
which
win
doesn't
today.
kill you in college like it does in the NBA, but it's still not great. Although they shot like 50% yesterday. And they're spotty with their free throw shooting. But if you want to watch a team that goes to the basket
Yeah.
and plays as good a defense, if there's a better college basketball team at defense,
Defensively.
I can't imagine.
Well, look who their coach is.
Yeah, Rick Pitino.
I mean, where are you finding these St. John's games randomly?
they're on
No, St. John's has been on a lot this year.
yeah.
Here's the funny thing about
Yeah.
I saw this a couple weeks ago. I think it went viral. Rick Pitino's speech.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my God! It's like,
Yeah.
I'll send my kid to play
He was
tiddlywinks
great.
for this
He was
guy.
great, and
He went
most of
in
their
on
games
his
were
players
on
for being
FS1.
selfish.
And I got FS1 on Fubo. Well, yesterday's game was on Fox, Big Fox, against UConn, and my man John Fanta calls a lot of the games. He wasn't doing the game
he does a lot of
yesterday.
Big East, doesn't he?
But he does a lot of Big East, and man, they are fun to watch.
They are fun, and
Shout
I
out
would be
to Terry.
surprised if they make a tournament run, Bull.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Just
It's
because
been a long
Pitino's
time.
pedigree, he knows how to make a run.
Oh, yeah.
One other thing, we've now just today we became the first show ever. This is another milestone. Whenever we get these milestones, I feel like we have to pass them along to our viewers. This is big, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say, not only has this never been done, it will never be done again. We now have the triumphants of shout-outs. A dental assistant, a furniture salesman, and a butcher. All shouted out by
All
Adam
done.
the Bull.
There you go, man.
That's true. I
Tune
love
in
my
tomorrow
people.
to see who Bull shouts out.
Shout out to all of you at home.
We'll
See you
y'all
tomorrow.
Peace.